Alrighty, hello everybody. How are you all doing today? Hope y'all are doing well. I certainly am because I got me a good chunk of sleep last night, so I am ready for this. Cyber Bear. Oh my gosh. Why am I Cyber Bear? I fucking hate voice mod. Voice mod is so quirky. Also, I thought you said you were gonna be here, and now here you are and make me shut up and yell about my robot voice.
Pepsi is my number one enemy. I just wanna do the intro when Dae shuts up cry. Eminem.
Damn, I didn't know Eminem was part of Animal Crossing Speak. but yes, welcoming everybody to the season finale of the slow burn run here in our life. Beginnings and always. Will Cove and our MC, our main character, get together in the end? Or will the slow burn sizzle that much longer? The slow burn is real. It's real as fuck, yo. It's been so real. But we have finally made it. We are finally here to step 4. We've managed to have a strong and loving platonic friendship with our bud Cove for the last, what was it, 10 years at this point? Now 15? So it's finally time to see if maybe finally after all this time we're gonna get together. But who knows? Maybe we won't. Maybe I'll just sizzle on for that much longer. Maybe you know how, like, I forgot to close my door. Some enemies are like, this is finally the perfect opportunity to get them together, and they're just like, no, not right now. Maybe another time. It's like, oh, what do you mean? But well, there's only one way to find out. We're just gonna have to dive right on in. I saved right in the intro to step 4, so we were already there. We already got our character going. We already picked direct love. Maybe there's a hidden season where we spawn at 30 years old. Maybe. You never know. Finally, at 30 years, we are together. It feels like similar to like Derek's route, where we're like, oh, let's make a plan. If we're not married by like 30, then we'll get together, you know? But this isn't Derek's route. This is Cope's route. Okay, 1 second. The eyebrows. What is that? You and your eyebrows. Oh my gosh. Better hide your eyebrows, everybody, or Zed will see. Alright, 1 second. I need to read this message real quick. Sorry about that secret. A little secret. Okay, but there we go. Now I'm ready. But his eyebrows are big enough to use as monkey bars. What do you mean? Leave Cove alone. Leave our manager alone. We didn't get through all of these 3 seasons just for you to call his eyebrows monkey bars. Besides, they're too squiggly to be monkey bars. How are you gonna get it? I don't know. Do you think monkey bars would be easier to like use if they were kind of squiggly like that? Like, would you be able to get like more of like a kind of like a grip on it? Or would it be better if they just were straight? I don't know. Let's get into let's get in here. Just one day, Cove and I sit at the table. Do you think monkey bars would be better? Like this? Why did you come up with that topic? I was just looking at your eyebrows. It's like, what? Okay. And so your days growing up in the loving cradle of Sunset Bird came to an end. In the years that passed since graduation, you'd moved out of your childhood home and made your own way in the world. You. All I know is Cove's the only one I accept having wavy eyebrows. Yeah. Me too. I feel like if I would see wavy eyebrows on anybody else, I'd be like, what the fuck? But with Cove, it's just... That's just been natural. That's just who he is. Imagine somebody, like, draws him with, like, normal eyebrows and be like, what the fuck? Who is that? Now, do you think... Let's be real. Do you think the slow burn is slow enough that we also don't live together? Or do you think we do live together? And... Oh! And they were roommates. No, we gotta live together now. And they were roommates. Oh my god, they were roommates. Okay, little Cove fish and the pet you picked. My bears. Okay, dog. I wouldn't do not roommates, but I mean. And you. That would make the best tension. It would. We've lived together for so long and we're still not together. Okay, I'm gonna say I had a business of my own as a VTuber. Art. There we go. Your family members went through the same kinds of leaps into independence. Liz and Lee both eventually earned degrees and started fantastic careers in new towns. But your mom's and Cove's father still lived on the same street as they had for all those years before. It was comforting to you that there were some things that remained in the old neighborhood. Despite the ever-changing reality of your adult life, your friends were still your friends. Though, of course, things weren't exactly the same for them either. And they were co-workers, maybe. Imagine that extra attention too. Remember that deaf something but don't have the balls to do anything about it, pretty much. We ain't got no balls. We too much of a coward. Very recently, Terry publicly came out as a man and switched the spelling of his name to use a Y instead of an I. He also confessed his love for Miranda, which he excitedly reciprocated. They moved in together recently in the city, out past Sunset Bird. Terry and Miranda already got past their slow burn run. We're still in it. Derek was as busy as always, but doing well. He always made an effort to keep in touch, and you even saw each other in person occasionally. One person who did disappear into the shuffle of memories inside your mind was Baxter. After his vacation in Sunset Bird one year, he was just gone. That was a loss you felt. He had become someone you'd considered a friend during those days. And then there's what became of the sad little boy you grew up with, Cove Holden. Somehow, despite all the history he had, leaving the street that kept you together for so long changed the emotions you held inside. Cove had been a friend for years and years, and yet he started to set your heart racing in a way you never could have imagined for most of your life. The slow burn. Derek. Poor Derek. Derek, actually, no, technically, Derek is kind of like pretty much the slow burn, because I think you can start a relationship technically with Baxter in step 3, but Derek, you don't until you get to step 4. So Derek's kind of like the original slow burn. Derek got a transition arc, a girlfriend arc, and a moving arc, and we're still here. Why are we still here? Just to suffer. But those feelings were still tucked away on the inside. Hopefully will remain that way. Clicks this. Longer slow burn. You didn't want your relationship to change for what it was. And the two of you began dating. He was your boyfriend. And the two got together and then engaged. He was your what? Oh, it wouldn't remain that way. I thought that said would remain that way. I really was looking at these. I thought these two were like, no, we don't tell them. And the two of these were like, you're in a relationship. Like, no. Hopefully it wouldn't remain that way. There we go. He truly thrived in his continued efforts of cultivating loving and supportive relationships with his family and friends. His personality had changed, becoming more open than ever before. Cove was a warm, inviting, considerate man who took the lessons He'd learned over the years to treat the people around him with patience and understanding. When Cove eventually developed a picture of the future he wanted to have as an adult, it made perfect sense to you based on his interests. Cove decided against pursuing a degree and focused fully on building up a career. He got a small business of his own teaching surf lessons, and he still volunteered with Orca when his workload allowed it. As an adult, Cove was also able to recognize and have diagnosed that he was on the autism spectrum. It was something that hadn't been noticed by his doctors as a child, but he was still the same Cove he always was to you, and he was just glad to understand himself better. I thrilled you to see how happy and successful he'd grown up to be. On the whole, life continued its steady beat forward, and you all went with it down the path you chose. It was strange and wonderful. But no matter how old you got, how far you roamed, or how long you were away, the home you had in Sunset Bird still called you back eventually. Beep beep, I'm in my mom's car. The car rumbled down the highway. You had started to zone out, when a truck in the left lane loudly zoomed past. Your driver didn't remark on it, just like anything else in this trip. You went back to staring out the window, letting the scenery pass you by. You did appreciate the spacious back seat of your ride. You hadn't known exactly when you had when you'd be coming in, so you had decided to use a ride app rather than ask your mom to pick you up. It turned out to be a convenient choice. You looked forward to surprising your parents at the door. You smiled at the thought of their faces lighting up. Luckily, this hadn't been that big of a trip for you. You lived close enough that the travel hadn't turned into a big production, however that didn't make the occasion mundane. For once, your moms had decided to have a modest celebration dinner for their anniversary. Unlike when you were growing up and they preferred to not make a big deal of it, this year they were comfortable having a party. As time went on, they found being the center of attention easier to handle. You were happy to see it. Mom, slow burn run. With this going on, there was no way that either you or Liz would miss your mom's anniversary. Both of you had made plans to come back home for it. You didn't hear from Liz about her exact schedule, but you hadn't shared yours either. It reminded you of when you were kids and both knew to show up for dinner, but didn't keep each other in the loop for each other's pre-dinner plans. This was the same concept after all. Some things stayed the same, yet it was definitely different from when you would see your sister every day, and knew sort of what she was doing anyways from osmosis. Today, no idea. Things were always changing. You mused on how at times it was hard to believe you didn't live with your parents anymore, and yet you also couldn't imagine going back and living as a kid under their rules. The rest of the drive flew by. Your silent driver provided a smooth ride. No sharp turns or hard stops jostled you out of your own head. I'd give this rider like a 5 stars for not opening his mouth once. It's like, I don't want to socially interact. Just drive, please. I also like it when I'm like in a car ride. I like just to like turn my brain off and just like stare out the window and just zone out too. So that would make peak driving ride for me. 5 stars. He did not interact once. Keep it up. Your thoughts turned from introspective to observant. The landscape passing by became more and more familiar. You frequently recognized the landmarks that dotted the area. A grin came to your face as you passed the now entering sign for Sunset Bird. Excitement built within you. You were really here. You were doing this. Dae's like, let me be in my music video. Yeah, that's exactly me. I just want to be my little moment, you know? Be my own little world. Your driver turned off on a street, and you realized that their map program was taking you the way home that Mom preferred. You usually would have used the other side of the street to pass by the beach. No time at all, the car had gone through the whole of town and pulled in front of your mom's condo. The car slowed to a stop and parked. With the buzz of the highway gone, you realized that you could hear the familiar sound of waves. The air smelled like salt, and a rush of childhood memories flooded back. You started to gather your things and humming to yourself once more about how happy your moms would be to see you. After that, you notified everyone else that you made the trip safely. You pulled over your suitcase from the other seat and yanked at your bag from down near your feet. Tap tap. Oh, who could that be? You startled the sudden sound of tapping on glass. It caused you to pause. Did you really hear what you thought you did? You weren't entirely sure because you soon heard something else. The window on the opposite side of the car rolling down. It confused you until you put it together. Despite the driver's silence, you weren't actually alone in this car. The driver must have pressed the button. Someone had to be there. The driver's like, get in here. You turned your head to face the now open window. Oh my god, there he is, and that's what he looks like now. Hey, Dae. What a surprise this is. I didn't expect you to see you in this neighborhood. He was joking, of course. Seeing your expression, he decided to push it further. It's not like I've been waiting for you out here all morning or anything. Oh, you haven't, have you? You know you did. I've been the one waiting to see you, he snorted. We've both been waiting then. He then gripped the top of the car door and pushed half of his torso through the opening. That was enough to make the driver break their silence with a sharp, hey! Cove did not seem to notice and continued climbing in through the window. He pushed one hand down into the middle seat to prop his dangling body up. I missed you. Me? Hey, who's that hottie over there? It's my man, Cove Holden. Seeing Cove's face, hearing those words, made your feelings of love swell inside your chest. You felt lightheaded, as if those feelings were too great for anything else, even oxygen to coexist inside you. You exhaled quietly, trying to steady yourself. Though you'd known Cove for most of your life, these emotions were new, and you were unaccustomed to handling them. He's my man. He doesn't know it yet. He ain't have no idea. He certainly hadn't always made your heart clench with longing like this. You couldn't even pinpoint exactly when it had begun. Somehow, as gradual as the sea wearing away at the coastline rock with each roll of the tide, your feelings had changed. The game knows it's a slow burn. It had been imperceptible at the time. The change so slight until the transformation was complete. From your first fateful meeting on Poppy Hill as children, to wading through the uncertainty of growing up, right up to today, Cove had been there. You couldn't imagine what your life would have been without him in it. Oh, no, not... It's not our confession. This is a slow burn run still. Though I am going to save here, because I'm going to look at it later. But it's like, you need to tell him you loved him now. Imagine the love confession in the back of the Uber driver's car. The dude's just sitting there up front like, what the fuck? No, keep him inside. Just wait out that much longer. It was necessary to swallow the overwhelming emotions. Cove couldn't realize how much you felt for him. What if he doesn't feel the same? You sighed deeply, slumping in your seat as the tension snapped. You couldn't face it. There were too many years of history holding you back. Joe's like, I mean, cute, but I have another ride. She's like, and guys, if you make out with my backseat, that's going to cost you extra. Cove raised a brow, concerned by the sudden change in your demeanor. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Plastering your best smile, you nodded in what you hoped was a convincing way. Oh yeah, must have still been half asleep for when I drifted off on the way here. It's great to see you again. Cove's smile returned, bright and encouraging, and blissfully unaware of what had almost happened. It was enough. You won't ask for more. And give me a hug. It was awkward, but you managed to loop your arms around his neck without his arm buckling from underneath him. He still wobbled in your embrace, but did not collapse, so you counted it as a win. Once he was able to regain his balance, he happily snuggled his cheek against yours. Oh my god. Oh my god. You both held on to each other, breathing each other in for a lovely moment. You pull back just a little to get a better view of his face. Immediately, eyes locked on. You're so cute. Alright. I really should have expected this, you and your windows. I promise this was unplanned. I know, still doesn't make a difference. Cove's smile turned awkward as his arm started to bend lower, causing his body to slide downwards with it. He turned his head to the driver. I'm always causing trouble in this neighborhood. Cove shifted around some more and squared back the way he came. After he had successfully pushed off the window and landed on the pavement with a thud, you opened your car door. You threaded your arms through the various straps of your bags and climbed out. Cove took a few long strides around the back of the car and quickly met you on your side. Cove stood in front of you, and it struck you that the two of you were back in Sunset Bird, reunited once again on this street. I jump. I hand it. Oh, put it down first. You dropped your bags on the paved road and got a bounding start to leap into Cove. He caught you, unsurprised at your action. When you were situated, he leaned back on the balls of his feet and fully lifted you off the ground. What is that? What's that one meme? It's like, if I jump into this guy's hands, he'll catch me no matter what. Incoming! No, I'm holding coffee! Throws the coffee down and catches him. I think that was from like Brooklyn 99. I think that's the show. I've never seen it, but I have seen I've seen the meme. That's pretty much what it is. I know for a fact that if I were to run and jump into Cove's arms, he would catch me no matter what. His goofy grin let you know just how much he was enjoying your enthusiastic embrace. He didn't have a problem holding you up. His especially large height allowed him to lift you well off the ground. With one last swing, he let you back down. You really were excited to be around him again, and absolutely thrilled that it was here in this town where you were together. Even if it had only been a short time since you had seen him off, you had still missed Cove greatly. It somehow felt a lot longer. It felt like an eternity. It's been less than 24 hours since we last seen him. Given your different schedules and travel abilities, it had worked out better for Cove to head out to Sunset Bird first. He only arrived the evening before, however, and secured the hotel room. Until now, you'd never had to deal with that inconvenience of being in a tourist-heavy area. It was a fight to get a place to stay close by during the heat of the summer vacation season. Living without him at your place was strange. Cove was basically a part of you at this point. You were glad to feel whole again. Oh! You idly shifted your luggage. That it struck you that you were short one. You got out in such a hurry it was left behind. You reached back into the car to pull it out. Cove stood aside as you made a dash for the door. You shouldered the small bag and felt relief that you would be able to brush your teeth tonight. Got everything this time? Mimi. You stood up straight. Everything truly gathered up and out of the car. You gave the back seat one last glance and then nodded. Cove shut the car door after you had moved out of the way. The two of you stepped off the street to give the driver some room. Cove waved. Sorry again. The driver said nothing and drove off. With the road clear, you let your gaze drift across the neighborhood that you had known forever. It was such a small place to spend so many days. You were flooded with memories of going up and down the street during every stage of your life. Being a little kid, following your big sister to the playground, becoming a teen and staying out later, and growing into an adult who left their parents' house behind to be independent. You could feel the summer sun on your skin from all the times you headed out to the beach. You saw the same surroundings that you as a young adult did when leaving home. It was hard to quantify the amount of history you had here. And now you were back. Despite taking in the neighborhood again, you never lost awareness of Cove's presence. From the corner of your eye, seeing him there was a very familiar sight as well. So many of your memories included him. All of them. Your mind drifted from the neighborhood itself to the person who used to live there. You couldn't help the feeling of nostalgia. You still remembered his face, his voice, the scar on his arm from days long gone. He had changed so much since you had first met him, yet even with those changes, he was always recognizable. He was familiar like the sky was, in the way you knew the sea. Every day they may appear different, but they still an inextricable part of what? Inextricable part of life. I can't read. It was the world, with help from Mr. Holden and his ill-thought $20 bill, that brought you together to begin with, but the two of you had chosen each other. You had never let your interactions fade. You had decided to nurture your relationship into what it was, and you would continue to keep Cove close in all the rest of your adult years. Despite all of Cove's familiarity to you, the growing intensity of feelings for him was not part of that. When you saw him, there was an attraction brewing you had never expected to hold for someone you'd known almost all your life. Oh no, he's hot! There was something different about him, or maybe it was you who was different, or you both were. But either way, the emotions were undeniable. It would be impossible to imagine life without him. Cove noticed you staring at him after a while and smiled with his eyebrows rising in curiosity. He was very transparent in his question if there was something you wanted to say. You shook your head and returned him a soft expression. You let yourself get carried away in the tide of memories, but now it was time to focus on the present. No time like now. Let's go see my mom's. Cove nodded and then pointed at all your luggage bundled around your legs. Can I help with any of that? I mean, take it all. You can help with all of it, pretty much. Yeah, thank you. You gratefully passed him a bag. It was a lot easier to balance everything with that out of the way. He used both hands to take hold of the one piece of luggage and stood tall, pleased to be able to provide his assistance. The bag situation resolved, the two of you strolled over to the Ursa residence door. You started to pat your pockets instinctively, only to realize that you no longer carried a key to the house. Your eyes scanned the entryway, a little lost, only to spy the doorbell. The thought of having to ring it felt super weird. As you pressed the inconveniently placed button on the side of the wall, you remembered that no matter how much this place would always be a home to you, it wasn't where you lived. Being back here was like putting on a uniform after you quit the store where it came from. It had remained the same, but your circumstance had changed. Cove shifted on his feet awkwardly, obviously also thrown out about you being stuck out here, keyless. You heard muffled voices and shuffling around from inside. Your heartbeat sped up in anticipation. The door swung open, and there was your mom's smiling face. She immediately brightened at seeing you standing there. Well, well, well. Mom twisted her head back and gave a shout down the hall. Lonnie, guess who's here? There were more distant noises, no doubt Ma getting up for wherever she was to come see. Her high-spirited words rang out clearly. I hope it's one of my children. Mom snickered, still holding the door only half open to hide you for a little longer. Cove flushed as if suddenly realizing that he was going to be present for your mom's enthusiastic welcoming of you. You smiled to reassure him that he wasn't intruding. Ma finally reached the door and peered over Mom's shoulder. It is! Hello, Dae! She gave you a once-over, patting the tops of your shoulders and moving down the sides of your arms, before she nodded in satisfaction that you were in one piece.
How sweet.
This is a wonderful surprise. Ma inclined her head to Cove next, not leaving him out either. Hello, sweetie. You grinned at your parents and laughed. You missed their presence so much. Cove bashfully waved at them. He hadn't relaxed fully, but he had settled down at their welcome. Well, don't just stand out there. Come on in. Your mom moved aside and held the door open for you, gesturing for you to enter. You stepped into the living room. It was comfortable and cool. Cove was a half step behind you, his eyes on a new painting your mom must have added since the last time you were here. Things were mostly the same, but there were more decorations since you had seen the house last. Mom may have gotten the urge for some interior designing again. It struck you how odd it was to be the guest, only observing their choices for the living space here rather than a full-time occupant. Mom came up in front of you, excitement in her eyes. I'm so glad you're here. You know, your mom and I would have been happy to pick you up, but you're self-sufficient and responsible. That's okay. What matters is that you arrived safely. Mom appeared at her side with a nod. Welcome back, kiddos. You appreciated that your parents respected you as an adult, even if Mom still called you kiddo. It will still be her children. Forever. You figured long ago that you'd always be her kiddo no matter how grown you became. It was part of the whole parent-child deal with her. Hey, give me a hug. He took another step forward and pulled Mom and Ma into a great big hug, squeezing them tight. Their arms wrapped around you in return, and you could feel their love for you in their embrace. I want to surprise you. Aw, well, you succeeded. Your timing was lovely. It's always nice when I'm able to come by. Your mom's giggled, pleased. So, how's it been? I hope you've been good. Getting enough excitement and all that. Speaking of exciting things, your anniversary dinner. Is everything all set for that?
No problem.
We're happy to help if there's something we can do. We've been plenty fine. It's been a little quiet, but that's not a bad thing. Mom placed her arm around Ma's shoulder and gave her a side hug. Don't worry about the party. We're just planning to eat at the Cypress. Nothing fancy, which is kind of a funny thing to say about a pretty fancy country club. The biggest issue has just been making sure everyone can make it for the day. Speaking of which, Liz will be arriving tonight. We're planning on picking her up later. I guess Liz isn't as grown up as Dae. I'm the grown one. Mom snickered at her own joke, and Ma lightly elbowed her with a barely hitting grin. No, speak her your truth. As I was saying, we could drop you off wherever you're staying if you don't mind waiting for that. I'm sorry there's not space for you in the house. It's gotten crowded in these old rooms since you and Liz moved out. I don't know where all this stuff keeps coming from. Sure you don't, Pamela. It's okay. Cove already has a hotel room I'm going to be staying in anyway. Cove sent you some pictures of the place when he arrived. Stylish and roomy. It seemed very nice. It was a spacious double room. He claimed that his bed was comfortable, so you had high hopes about your own. So we don't have a and there was only one bed moment? God damn. I'm so disappointed. He had the opportunity. He could have been like, ooh, there's only one bed day. I guess we're gonna have to share. I would not complain. But oh well, I guess it is what it is. No sharing a bed with Cove today, I guess. Your mom smiled, relieved. Kira's already here, isn't she? She directed her question at Cove. He bobbed his head a bit to go along with his reply. Yeah, I heard she made it. She's gonna be staying with Dad while she's in town. Have you gone over and said hello yet? Cove chuckled self-consciously, and this time he shook his head. You raised an eyebrow, since you had figured he would have taken the chance while waiting for you. Not yet. I should go do that now. I just wanted Dae to be there too. He caught your eyes with an adoring smile. No bed sharing. I know. No bed sharing. No, only one. Oh no, there's only one bed in this hotel room. What are we gonna do? I'm so sad. Mom laughed at that, no doubt thinking that Cove was sweet, but ridiculous. It's nice to know your priorities. Yeah. Cove awkwardly rubbed his arm and shifted on his feet, looking all too much like he did as a kid. Dae, do you want to go over to my house now? That's a good idea. We won't be leaving until late evening. Yeah, let's go for it. Cove perked back up, excited once more. Well, keep an eye on your things while you're out. There's no reason to be carrying all that around. You set down your bags in the living room, tucked into a corner where they wouldn't be in the way. Cove helped. Your moms waved the two of you off as you walked back to the entranceway. Thanks. See you soon. You waved back and opened the front door for Cove. With that, you were on your way to see Cove's family next. This trip put a special little pep in Cove's steps as you crossed the street to his dad's house together. Your spirits were equally high. Doing this, you felt like a teen again. You've known Cove's parents for a long time now. When it came to what you called his dad... oof. I guess Cliff. Although it was awkward on your tongue at first, it rolled off comfortably now. You appreciate how much he saw you as an adult and friend, and not just a kid from across the street. As for Kira, she had always preferred you calling her by your first name. To this day, you still did so. Cove hopped up to the front door and didn't bother knocking. He twisted the knob and swung it open. With a grin, Cove gave you a gratified thumbs up. You shook your head in disapproval, but you both knew that you hypocritically supported his behavior. Oh, damn, call me out. Your dad is lucky we aren't criminals. He brushed your comment aside and went right into his old home. Cliff was there, standing in his kitchen and babysitting a pan on the stove. His head turned at the sound of footsteps, and he brightened instantly at the sight of you both. Cove matched his enthusiasm instantly. It was as if anyone else, if it was anyone else, you would have thought he was lighting up with a childlike joy over seeing his dad again. But since you knew that Cove was actually oh my god, what the hell? But since you knew what Cove was actually like as a kid, you were aware this level of happiness with Cliff was definitely not equivalent to any childhood feelings of his. He pretty much like hated his dad when he was younger. Dad! Cove! Cliff graciously pushed what he was cooking to a different burner and flipped off the heat. He rushed over to you both. Cove flew forward and met him halfway in a hug. Cove squished his eyes shut and held his dad in a tight hug. Cliff soothingly rode his son's back. The more of an adult Cove became, the more he turned into a big daddy's boy, it seemed. I missed you. I missed you too. It was sweet, and teasing aside, it was wonderful to see them at this place in their relationship after years of struggling to connect. When the hug broke, Cliff hooked an arm around his son's neck. He let out a deep laugh. I still can't believe how you outgrew me. I really thought I had that on him after you graduated from high school, but then he had to keep going.
One moment, Terry's an intruder here.
Okay, they left. The door opened, and I was like just kind of sitting here like, ooh. Oh, gee, look at both my Danny. Oh my god. Now you can't have both of them, father and son. Daddy number 1, daddy number 2. Your son calls me daddy too. Oh shit, I'm in the chat. Chuckling, he shook his head in mock anger. Cove ducked his head and laughed in kind. Sorry, Dad. Cove's cheeks turned pink and he averted his eyes. He was becoming bashful, so you knew he had more he wanted to say. Cove softly added, but I was raised very well. His dad's expression instantly crumbled with emotion. He sniffled. Cove put an arm around him too and tugged him into a side hug. You observed their little reunion fondly, happy to let them enjoy their moment. They were a perfect pair of sentimentality. Cliff eventually turned his attention to you. Hi, Dae. So great to see you. He pulled away from Cove and approached you with a little wave. He was back to his cheery self. Cliff, it's nice to see you. Give me a hug, too. You went into him with your arms extended and a silent, is this okay question in your eyes. Cliff pulled you into a big hug without a second thought. There was a quiet sniffle. I miss seeing your face around here. Thank you. Cliff cleared his throat, pulling attention to himself. He crossed his arms. But before we get too carried away, it's not a real reunion yet. Kira's still in the guest suite. I'll go get her. He eagerly bolted down the hall, and you could hear every step he took. It ended with a distinct knock. Kira! They're here! It was only seconds before there was the sound of a door being yanked open. The pounding of feet hitting the wood floor grew even louder this time. There she is, looking pretty as ever. Next to you, Cove let out a nervous laugh. His parents entered the living room, and Kira stretched her arms out wide when she spotted you both. Cove went to her easily. Me too! She pulled you tightly into her arms with Cove. You were squished, but felt every bit of love Kira held in her heart for you both. Cove wrapped his free arm around her too. He rested his head on top of hers and let out a happy sigh. After a moment, Kira let go, and pulled back to get a better look at your faces. She surveyed every inch of them and appeared satisfied. You're both looking well. That's wonderful, and just what I like to see. Thanks, Mom. And, oh, thanks. And hi, Mom. Hey, you look good too, Kira. One day soon, I'll let you in on my secret. Ooh. Secrets? Kira winked, and you had zero doubts that she had precious knowledge to looking your best. She was stunning every time you saw her. I'd be honored. So, put your hands on your hips, your gaze sliding from one to the other. How have you both been doing since I last saw you? Any good stories? Give me them secrets. Just a little secret, please. Kira gave a nod for Cliff to go first. Cheerfully, he waved a hand. Oh, same old, same old. Still got the shop, still got my friends and family, of course, and still the most exciting thing around here is seeing who will rent that one free condo. Incredible. I always knew you were such a snore. I knew you were boring. They snickered and you couldn't help but peek at Cove. He rolled his eyes dramatically, drawing out a few giggles from you, but the whole time there was still a happy smile fixed on his face. For me, things have been good. I've gotten a lot of interesting assignments lately. Oh, I recently went to Seattle, and... Kira twirled a strand of her hair shyly, and her mouth curved into a grin. Whatever she was thinking about, it made her happy. Things have still been going well with that guy from work, but it's a little early to bring him all the way out to California to meet the family. Cove crossed his arms. He and his dad nodded. It was clear she appreciated the acceptance from her two boys. Well, you don't want to bring him out here? I mean, your ex-husband and your child with your ex-husband? I'm sure it'd be fine. I'm really happy for you. Thank you. You're also glad that things were going well for her. She was clearly grateful for your approval as well. When are we going to get a DLC where we can play as a different main character and date Cliff? Where's Cliff's love story? Dads deserve love too. So that's us. Do you two have plans for your first day back? The only thing I have to do is pick up Liz after later tonight before we head back to our hotel room. Great. Oh, gee, I'll pay double for that, right? I know that GB Patch said that when they were done with, like, when they were done with, I think, Baxter's route, they were going to be done with our life, this game, so that they could, you know, put their full focus on the next one. But I'm like, just one more DLC, please. Just one more for Cliff. Well, please. I mean, I'd play double for it, too. But I understand. Maybe one day in the future they'll decide to go back to it and give him his happy ending. I mean, he still has a happy ending, but like his love life happy ending, you know? That's where we as storytellers write it down and give it to them to make. You know, that's true. It's like you go to him, hey, I have a pitch for you. Just like smacks the pitch on the table. We get Cliff Holden laid. we give him a love story. Have to have like a whole PowerPoint presentation for it too. Just the whole works. Yeah, yeah. They're sitting there like, okay. We'll have to see. Great. He suddenly looked over his shoulder. His eyebrows pushed together. I'm glad you're here, but I just remembered that I was in the middle of cooking something. Well, yeah, a small cackle escaped you while you fought off the giant grin taking over your face. Cove erupted into laughter that had his dad shaking his head. That's fine, Dad. Go sell what you can. I think it'd be nice to explore the old neighborhood for a while anyway, since we've got the time. Cove directed the last part to you as he spoke, hoping that you'd want to go with him. You nodded automatically. You were already looking forward to it. That's a perfect idea. I think so too. You should go enjoy the day. I'll hang back here so I won't be a third wheel, and someone's got to keep an eye on Cliff before he catches the whole kitchen on fire. Mom, you're not a third wheel. Cove stiffly stuck his arms against his side like a little child. A small smirk tugged at Kira's mouth. She winked. You know what I mean. Have a good walk. She knows. She knows. She's like, I don't want to be a third wheel. I see what's brewing. I see this slow burn. Have to prevent this fire happening from the kitchen. But the fire can happen outside of the kitchen, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'll see you both later. Cheerily, Cliff waved before going back to his cooking. Cove smiled warmly. Okay, bye. We'll be back. Bye. Cove trailed behind you as you walked into the welcoming summer sun. He stopped, closing his eyes to stretch his arms in the warm rays. Satisfied, Cove turned to you and carefully took your hand in his. Oh. Ayo? The heat of that was better and more comforting than any ray of sunlight that could shine on you today. Ayo! Holding hands! What's happening? Some closer, you squeeze his hand. Your mouth curved into a playful smile. Lucky for you, I needed help carrying that hand. Let's go. Oh my gosh. And they weren't together. Naturally, you found yourself heading down the road towards the beach. Your spirits rose even higher when you strolled across the sand, heading for the shopping district. Arriving, you wove past tourists who were taking in the sights for the very first time. Being a local was a badge of honor you wore proudly. You casually walked past the shops. Over the years, some had closed down, but many of the stalls were still exactly the same as they were when you were little. There was something you planned on saying, but the look on Cove's face made you pause. You watched incredulously as Cove's attention laser focused on something in the peripheral. As the two of you went down the stone street, his gaze stayed parallel with what must have been a stationary object. Then when his head couldn't turn any further, he stopped in place entirely. You were brought to a halt as well, since his fingers were still laced around yours. Taking your head out around his side, you were finally able to see that the subject of note that had captured his attention was a pretzel stand. After a moment's silence, his puppy dog eyes swung back to your face. With a cheesy faux wistfulness, Cove whispered a few small words. That could have been us. That could have been us, but you played. It's not too late. We can still start our own pretzel stand. Really? I better ask my dad about how to get a license or something like that. He knows business. Sounds like a plan. We'll be following the pretzel plan in no time. Cove chuckled at your willingness to play along. This was a joke that never died. Did you actually want to get a pretzel? Yes, I do. The one that comes with the little frosting cup? That's right. You shared a fond smile with one another. It held a level of second-nature comfort that really didn't exist anywhere outside of the almost lifelong relationship between you and your former neighbor. Somehow, all you ever had to do was simply be together in the same place, and it was special. Cove showed you how strongly he felt the same when he started to become visibly bashful. He plucked up enough nerves to keep the conversation going, though. So hey, do you think they'd give me more than one of the frosting cups if I asked? I don't know, Cove. We'll have to find out. They better. Although we hell to pay. With that, you changed course to the pretzel stand for a snack break. Cove was very pleased by the morsel he picked up, and that was good to see. Did you share? Listen, he didn't share. That'd be hell to pay. That'd be definitely hell to pay. The sun arched across the sky as you went up and down the road as a pair. By the time you returned to the beach, day was beginning to fade into night. Cove kicked his shoes off, tossing them into the sand. He wanted to get his feet wet in the waves as fast as possible. Let me in. In seconds, you had your feet free, and your shoes a bit in the sand. You kept going until you were ankle-deep in the water. Cove sighed contentedly. He followed his line of sight to the setting sun, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. It really feels like summer now. He wore a bent smile when he turned to you. The light illuminated like a halo behind him, and the sight took your breath away. You're so pretty. No matter which hairstyle and look he gets, he's always so pretty. In fact, it's hard to think of anything that feels more perfectly summer than moments exactly like this. Being here at sunset in Sunset Bird. With you. With me. I'm so glad we were able to come visit. I do like our living situation now over just being neighbors. But still. Agreeing with Cove, you made an okay sign with one hand. You felt your heart flutter in your chest. Your smile quickly stretched ear to ear. Of course we would end up like this again sooner or later. It's a wonderful day. I guess it's not so bad being back in the neighborhood. It was bound to happen. You crossed your arms. Cove looked up from the sand, meeting your gaze with a bent smile. It's inevitable. Cove murmured quietly. What are you saying? Losing himself in his thoughts again. Shortly after, you saw his hand shoot down into the sand. Ooh. He stood straight back up with a lopsided smile and got to work brushing the sand off his prize. You know, without a single word, Cove found a new shell for your collection. As you wandered down the beach, Cove followed at your side in comfortable silence. You shouted stretch across the sand like they were leading the way. The only noise you could hear were the soft footfalls of your feet and the waves gently rocking into the shore. For a moment in time, it felt like there were only the two of you in your own little world. Eventually, the bubble popped when you realized that your phone was going off. It was Ma, hoping that you're going to be back soon. Curious, Cove's eyes slid down to your phone. You let your hand fall back down to your side. You held the phone pressed against the palm of your hand. It's Ma. She wants to know when we'll be there. Cove scratched the back of his neck and shook his head. His mouth twitched like he just had a funny thought. Dang, parents. Always trying to make us come home before it gets too dark. Oh my gosh, parents are so lame. There's no escape from curfew as long as we're in this neighborhood. It's like we warped back into being little kids the moment we set foot at the entrance sign. Cove's nose crinkled in fake disgust, and you both burst into a fit of giggles. It'd be nice not to have to worry about bills again. Sometimes. After one last glance, you put your phone away. Again, Cove gave a small shrug. Ready? Yep. Let's go. Together, you left the beach, feeling the call of home pulling you forward. Excuse me. Oh, that one really struggled to come out. Damn. The both of you ran off towards your mom's house, leaving the waves behind, but welcoming the beginning of summer. Cove and you ran up from the beach, sand flying from your steps. Cove made it to the road first, but you managed to catch up to him by the time you reached the house. It wasn't exactly a race, and yet it was also not a competition. Both of you were laughing by the time you bumbled through your old front door. Together. You inhaled deeply and shouted loud enough to be heard anywhere in the house. We're here! Your moms were seated in the living room. Their eyes sparkled as they locked on you and your light dusting of sand. Welcome home. Mom leaned forward, eyebrows raised as your jubilant entrance. Ma sighed wistfully. That brings back memories. Cove chuckled shyly as he scratched the back of his head. I hope we're not too late. Nope. You're just in time, but you better start packing it up. Liz will be waiting. Ma nodded as she stood up from her seat. She lightly ran her fingers over her clothes to smooth out the wrinkles. It took you a second to remember where you had put your stuff. You needed to get it all in the car so you could get everything back to your hotel. Can I help? You shrugged and directed him to your bags. With Cove, your mom's, and yourself on the job, it only took one trip to the car to get everything. Cove firmly closed the trunk and thanked everyone for their assistance. Of course, kiddo. Come along, Ursa family. Let's get in the car. Come on, Cove, let's go. You've been a part of the Ursa family for years. Thanks. Exactly. Well said, Dae. You're gonna officially become part of the Ursa family in the future, too. If this slow bird leads anywhere, that is. Cove climbed to the back seat with a decidedly touched expression on his face. You got in on the other side. When everyone was situated and buckled, the engine was started, and Ma pulled out onto the street. You couldn't help but feel amused to be stuck in the backseat with Cove. Your mom's driving you around. It really was like you were little kids again. Cove caught you staring at him and gave you a bent smile. He was probably on the same wavelength as you from the sheer mischief of it. There was some light chatting on the drive. No one brought anything too deep, and it mostly became swapping jokey stories. The entire trip was marked by a heavy sense of anticipation. Everyone was ecstatic to see Liz and hear what she had been up to. When you neared the airport, Mom pulled out her phone to call Liz. Mom followed the signs to the correct pickup area and asked for you to shout if you saw your sister. Yeah, Liz, we're at Wing B. There's a blue sign that says North America.
Alright.
Tell her that we're right in front of the building with the blue windows. She says that she's outside, right by a yellow truck. I see at least 3 yellow trucks. I think they're doing work at the airport. The back and forth continued, with Ma driving her around in the wide, circular airport road while Mom attempted a coordination between her and Liz's location. Aha! You leaned forward, peering out the front of the car. A tall, poised silhouette pulled a pale purple roll-along suitcase behind her. It was definitely Liz. She waved to the car. Ma parked along the sidewalk next to her, and Mom put her phone away with a cheer. Mission accomplished, team! Ma excitedly reached over to grasp Mom's raised hand, thrilled that both of her kids were back. That's right! Liz came closer and yanked open the back door beside her. She popped her head into the car, her smile ornery despite how tired she appeared. It must have been a long trip for her, yet her expression was that same familiar smirk that you had grown up with. Hello, children. I'm back. Oh my god. Rude. Well, hate a whole grandparent who doesn't have any kids. You should speak to your elders like that. You poked her cheek. Her eyes watched your finger with confusion until you poked her. Her jaw dropped at your sheer audacity. Liz leaned back out of your reach and booped your nose before you regained your balance and pulled back. Well, hi to you too, kiddo. Hello, sweetie. It's so nice that you're here. Hi, Elizabeth. He jokingly huffed at her. We're not children. Whatever you say, baby boy. She turned her gaze back to Mom and Ma. You really know how to make someone feel appreciated. Her spirits were high. You could tell that she was just as happy to be here as everyone was to see her. She left the door open, but ducked out to walk around to the back of the car. She opened the trunk and lifted her luggage in. I'm gonna move your junk, Dae. I'll keep it in front of my bag so you can get it later. Mom's dropping you off first, right? Yes, but that's not junk. It's important. Ah, thank you, Cove. That's my important junk, thank you very much. Liz slammed the trunk closed without responding. Liz swung around to the open door. You noticed that her hair had a few flyaways, no doubt from a long day of traveling. She leaned against the frame of the car, giving you and Cove a significant look. I am not sitting in the middle. I already had 5 hours of that nightmare on the flight. There's no way I'm getting in between the two of you. I mean, really, who would ever want to be the person pulling Cove Holden and Dae Ursa apart? Cove puffed up indignantly yet again in her classic tease of your relationship. Liz continued along like she didn't notice. I don't care how you decide who's scooting. I figure you can fight it out somehow. Alright, Cove. It's time to put him up. It's time to start swinging. Cove glanced over at you and shrugged. He unbuckled his seatbelt and moved to the middle. Ah, coward. I guess I'll always have a bossy big sister. Always. That's the law. It's more like Liz will never change. Exactly. Why would I need to? With the window seat open, Liz squished herself into the car and shut the door. When everyone was settled, Ma began to pull out. We're off! Liz crossed her legs, compacting herself slightly. She braced most of her weight on the door behind her instead of sitting up straight. It gave her a little more room. Hopefully finished the journey. This car's almost as old as we are. And it's still just as good as you are. Oh, damn. We're equivalent to this, Junker. You put as much fake hurt into your tone as you could manage. Neither of your moms took you up on your teasing. It's feeling so to be being compared to this rust bucket. This doesn't even have enough cup holders, Ma. The cup holders are so important. We're not gonna put all of my sweet teas in there. Mom turned up the radio as Ma emerged onto the highway. The station was familiar, the normal soundtrack for when she had driven you and Liz around town. Liz bounced in her seat, enjoying the classic tune. The song would be old enough to vote at this point if it was a person. That was hard to believe. With Liz, the conversation livened up in spite of getting later and later in the night. She told you all about her week and all the travel preparations she made. By the time she'd made it to the actual tale of travel itself, Liz started chuckling. On the plane, Liz had to sit next to a couple of girls who had talked a lot about how well they could read people. Liz recounted their conversation with her in hilarious detail, as they had apparently tried to guess her occupation after only shaking her hand. Neither of the girls could agree with one another. Liz had refused to just tell them. However, the drive to your hotel was only so long. Eventually, your group arrived. You yawned and got out of the car when it stopped. Cove clambered out after you. Liz gave a loud sigh of relief at all the extra space she found herself in. You and Cove grabbed the luggage and then waved off your family after you said your goodbyes. After they left, you and Cove went to go find your room. I'm reminded again. 2 beds. You scanned the keycard to unlock your hotel room. It sounded out a soft beep and you turned the handle of the door. The door creaked open, then you craned your head in to take a look. You saw the 2 queen-size beds on opposite sides of the room, further separated by a sleek nightstand. It was a prim, modern-looking space. It seemed clean and smelled faintly like floral air freshener. Can I have the one near the window? But I wanted the window bed. Honestly, though, I feel like when I go to hotel rooms and stuff like that, I kind of prefer... Actually, I don't know which I prefer. I think I prefer the one next to the door, actually. Because when I was younger, I used to get kind of, like, nervous, like, sleeping near windows, because I would always, like, have, like, this paranoia that something was going to be looking in and staring at me while I slept. So I think I would prefer the door. But yeah, you just want to be close to the exit, don't you? Cove cackled at your joke. You've got it. I might have to make an escape to there in the middle of the night. Fine, it's yours. Thanks. I got a good hotel, didn't I? Yeah, you got a nice one. Looks like a curious place, my god. But thanks for handling this. No problem. He beamed, glad to have your appreciation. You and Cove continued to chat as you settled in. You unpacked some of your stuff and checked out all the room's amenities. Where's the option for me to just get into Cove's bed at night and just sleep in the same bed as him? Where's that option at? Listen, if we're not forced to share a bed together, I'm gonna make us share a bed. Cove pointed out the mini fridge and started puzzling over what food could be ordered to the room. However, the fact was you both were exhausted. It didn't take too many yawns before you both changed into your pajamas and called it a day. You found the light switch near the door. The plastic was cool under your fingertip as you clicked it off. Cove crawled under his covers. From the lingering light, you could make out him shoving the bedspread off to the side and only keeping the sheet on top of him. You carefully made your way to your own bed in the dark and made yourself comfortable. No! No! I want to share! You had to really use some elbow grease on the tightly tucked sheets to make the bed enough to get under them. Eventually, you were as snug as a bug under the white sheets that smelled faintly of fresh laundry. You rolled to face Cove. He did the same, and the two of you regarded each other in the low light. His smile was bashful as his eyes lingered over you, slowly taking you in. His happiness was sweet and soft. You smiled back. It was nice having Cove here with you. Good night, Dae. Don't let the bugs bite. Oh, did you know why? So do you know why pigeons are called pigeons when they're actually doves? Not that info dump. You neither. Cove began to speak again. It was loud enough to hear, but quiet that you leaned forward on your mattress to make it out. I can't believe we're really here. You and Liz and everyone else are going to be here in Sunset Bird again. I was staring at all the scenery going by while we were driving here, and it honestly felt like we never left. You ran a hand down his face. I mean, in some ways it feels like it's been ages and everything's different. Some of that is definitely because I'm staying at a hotel instead of being in my room at my dad's, but yeah. I don't even know how I feel. Cove nodded. He understood completely. I'm looking... A yawn forced an interruption into the statement. Cove was undeterred. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I can't wait.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. His words were a whisper you barely heard. You might not even have been that exactly. You might have just been guessing. Cove always had a habit of mumbling. It was okay either way. Whether you heard it or only thought you heard, the sentiment was true regardless. Cove would see you tomorrow when he opened his eyes, and the sunlight returned to your hometown of Sunset Bird. You comfortably drifted off to sleep, and eagerly awaited seeing Cove tomorrow as well. It was already morning the next time you opened your eyes. Despite waking up in an unfamiliar bed, you were feeling good. Your eyebrows pushed together in confusion while you sat up. The blanket pulled in your lap, and the sudden sound of water startled you. Yawning, you turned towards Cove's bed. He wasn't there. Glancing in the other direction, you spotted him brushing his teeth in the bathroom. He caught you shuffling out of the corner of his eye. Cove smirked with the toothbrush still between his teeth. He pivoted on his heels and gave you a little wave, for needing to lean back over the sink spit. Happy, you stretched your arms high over your head and then twisted the knot out of your back before getting out of bed. Cove finished up brushing quickly and leaned over the faucet to rinse his mouth out. By the time you had your feet on the floor, he was back in the main area of the hotel room. He took a seat on the end of his bed. Morning, Dae. Morning. Having any good dreams? His lips curled into a bent smile. Any good dreams? About me? Yep, not a single bad one. Sitting up, Ko took a few seconds to stretch. He glanced over at you with an animated expression. I'm really looking forward to your mom's anniversary dinner tonight. It's gonna be fun. I think so too. This whole trip was great, actually. Being here with everybody is like having another chance at being a kid. We can do all the stuff we used to, and all the things we never did but wanted to. Oh yeah. Something about the way Ko warded that dug up a memory you hadn't thought about in a long time. The first time you met his dad, and the money he offered you. Chewing at the inside of your cheek, it felt like a lifetime ago, but you knew that it would still matter to Cove if he knew. You just weren't entirely sure what it would mean to him. You snuck a quick peek at Cove, but his stare was already glued to you. He raised a questioning eyebrow, leaving the rest up to you. It's time. It's time to tell him the truth of what happened that fateful day in Sunset Bird all those years ago. So, actually, there's something I've been waiting for a chance to talk about. Ko frowned, but you had his attention. He slowly slid down to sit on the corner of the bed. Never mind. Never mind. He's like, what? No. Imagine. Just blue ball him. Okay. But yes, we've kept this secret for such a long time. I have told him this secret in every other step except this one. So I'm very curious to see how he's going to react. I mean, if it's anything like step 3, it's probably a good reaction, but you never know. Maybe he changed. Maybe he'd be pissed about it. he has a like 8-year-old reaction. He starts crying. He's like, ah, how could you? You're only with me because my dad paid you $20 15 years ago. Imagine. That'd be rough, but there's only one way to find out. You told Cove about the... This is over. Never speak to me again. Cove, it was never started. We never did anything. It's still over. I mean, there's no chance for it to start now at this point. Alright. Okay. When you and your dad moved to the neighborhood and you ran away, remember that? Of course. Well, I met your dad first, and during that conversation, he offered me $20 to be your friend. Doesn't even try to, like, slowly go into just strip. Your dad offered me $20 to be your friend. His mouth fell open. His head tilted to the side. There was no unringing that bell. But I didn't take the money. I didn't take the $20. The look on Ko's face twisted. His eyes pushed into a squint. His lips screwed up, and you saw this stare dart across your skin. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. The realization tumbled out of him in a whisper. You couldn't read his expression, but it remained firm. Until Big said, no, I didn't think it'd actually be sad. Until Big sad tears started bubbling and dripping down his cheek. He flew a few steps forward, shocked and eyes wide with concern. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Apology came out in a whisper. You felt like a broken record, but that's all you could think of. Cope's tense... No. Cope's tense jaw slowly loosened as his mouth began to wobble into a frown. Emotions overtook him and he failed to swallow down a broken sob. The tears pooling in his blue eyes intensified, and they streamed quickly down his cheeks. Cope hung his head low and let them fall. No. Come here. Unable to stay back any longer, you closed the space between you both. He flinched over your touch initially, but after Cove leaned into you and his sobs reverberated into your chest. The tears continued, but you didn't mind getting wet because Cove needed this more. You just wanted him to feel better. Oh my god, this was... You don't make my boy cry! I didn't think he would cry! I thought it was gonna be like a step 3 when he was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I didn't think he... I manifested it. I said, wouldn't it be funny if he had like his like step 1 reaction and he cried about it, and now here he is crying about it. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean. It wasn't right away, but Kofi was eventually able to pull himself more together. He straightened his back and sniffled. You took a nervous step backwards to give him some space. Kofi let out his shaky breaths while he scrubbed the remaining tears from his face. I'm not upset with you for what happened, or because you're telling me now. You didn't do anything. I actually feel bad for you. You had to keep a secret you didn't ask for, and it was for most of you. That's why you're crying? I'm so sorry you feel like you had to keep that secret. No, that's... You shouldn't be upset about that. The weight felt like it was lifted off of your chest. The corner of Ko's mouth hooked into a bent smile, but his stare was still glossy with tears. I'm not mad at my dad either. Then why are you crying? His tone grew delicate again. His emotions were catching back up with him. It's just... No, Ko, stop. Don't make it worse, but caring about me. Please stop caring. Care about yourself, not me. It's just... I'm just so happy with my life. About how it went. But so much of that, what happens with everything, is out of your control. There's stuff like this. My dad's secretly offering you money to be my friend. Remembering those days when I was little and pretty much my whole world was decided by other people just really made it all hit. Especially because I'm finding out there was even more going on than I realized. His bottom lip quivered, and his tears ran down his cheeks. No! It's scary to think about. It would have been so easy for none of this to have happened. Ko threw his arms to the side, trying to convey where you were standing, where you had ended up after spending a life of growing up together. What if my dad moved to a different neighborhood? Or if I didn't move away with him at all? Or if my dad didn't care if I had friends or not?
So glad.
But it didn't go differently, and you're here with me. We're together, and my parents are some of my very best friends that I'm just really glad. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm gonna start crying now. He's just crying. He's like, what if we weren't friends? Like, we are. We are still here together. Your legs felt weak under you during his confession, but you remained rooted in place. Cove seemed to grow more confident. Dae, you're my friend. What if we were more than friends? I don't think there's anything in the world that gets us apart. I'm grateful I got to meet you. You were the best thing that's happened to me. Oh my gosh. Your voice broke with emotion. His eyes watered again. You are for me too. And we still ain't together. The shakiness in Ko's smile lessened, and it grew stronger, more assured. One more hug. that was a roller coaster. You pulled your you pulled your Cove. Yeah, you pulled Cove into your arms, and you felt him melt into you. Tightening your hold, you silently said thanks to the universe for letting Cove be a part of your life. You both waited there, enjoying each other's company. When another minute passed, you felt a calmness settle in your chest. Now thinking about it, I think I also got this combo one time. I don't know why I'm acting surprised. you blocked it out because the initial trauma of him when he began to cry was too much. Like the fear. Why am I acting shocked? It's like you're going through it all over again. Finally, it's off my chest. This one better not make me keep another secret like that again for the rest of all our lives. Yeah, but hey, your secret keeping skills are seriously unmatched. Yeah, well, how long has it been? Like 15 years? I mean, that's a possibility, true. Chuckling, Cove ran a hand through his hair. You nod in agreement, trying not to think too much about how many years you'd be holding on to that. You even moved in together before you brought that up. I mean... Oops. Excuse me. I was worried about how you're gonna react. Your voice trailed off into a whisper and your head hung heavily. I get it. I would have been afraid to tell me when I was younger too. He surprised you further with something remarkable. He smiled.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it anymore. It's fine now. There was a playful gleam, and Cove's expression shifted into a smirk. He leaned forward, and you could feel the warmth of his breath. Burp to suppress the trauma. Exactly. That's how I recover. Are there any other confessions you want to make while we're doing this? Oop. Instantly, your skin felt like it was prickling and hot. Thoughts about confessing your feelings spun rapidly around in your mind. He noticed your shocked reaction. Oh, actually, don't worry about it. I was joking. I thought we were gonna get... Do you want to tell him now? It's like, no. Slow burn. Cove scratched the back of his neck nervously. You took a deep breath and felt yourself calm down. Thanks! Yeah. He's like, what do you know? Cove clapped his hands together once, trying to clear out the awkward air. Well, we better get back to business, huh? We've got a full schedule ahead for us on your mom's big day. Sighing deeply, Cove shrugged. The look he gave you was warm and affectionate, and you knew that everything was going to be okay. No, Cove, it's the time! Choking on the popcorn. No, please! Make it now! But thanks again, you know, for letting me know what happened. Thanks for listening and for still being here at the end of it. It was a good talk. After that, you and Cove moved around each other, busily getting dressed and ready for the day. Light laughter and chatter filled the air the entire time. Bags were packed and phones were sought after. Just tossed Cove his phone when he hadn't been able to find it. You handed Cove his phone when he hadn't been able to find it. You somehow lost a single sock, but Cove found it behind the headboard. You shook a head at Cove when he ran a hand through his hair instead of brushing it. Brush your hair, boy! You got such thick hair. You gotta brush it out. You're gonna get knots. Here you go. Cove caught it with a noisy slap between his two hands. He stared over at you with wide eyes. Struggling, he tried not to grin, but it was a losing battle. Remind me to remind you not to do that again. I'll walk over to get it next time. But this is more fun. Worried still, he wiped off the phone screen with his shirt. He chuckled in agreement, knowing full well that you both would likely forget and play catch with the phones again at some point later. There was nothing else stopping you either of you now. In minutes, you were hopping into your ride and heading back to the neighborhood. It was another beautiful summer day in Sunset Bird. You couldn't resist rolling the window down so you could absorb it all during the drive. Cove sat across the seat from you, near the opposite window. His gaze was locked outside, catching all the old landmarks the vehicle was passing. Your spirits rose even higher the moment you made it home once more. Eager, you hopped out of the car and let yourself inside. Your moms knew you were going to be there that morning. But the second you made it past the threshold, an excited scream nearly scared you out of your shoes. Dae, you're here! And guess what? I'm here too! Oh my gosh, Lee. I always liked her hair in Step 4. I think it's really pretty. A nice little pink, you know? While your heart's rate settled, a broad grin quickly took over your whole face. Since your cousin moved out on her own, you noticed that she really found her own groove. She was still the same loving person she'd always been on the inside, but she expressed herself in new ways. Lee was strong, kind, and smart. Over the past few years, she graduated college with a degree in history. Though last you heard, she was pursuing her dreams, working towards getting into the music industry. Oh my gosh! Can I get some warning next time you go to screech? Letting out a laugh, you rubbed your ear. There was a distant ringing in the back of your head. Lee's mouth curved into a mischievous grin. No promises, but I can try. Looking like an overseas K-pop idol at work. I mean, she is getting into the music industry, so she'll be singing her own songs. I appreciate it. Lee leaned to the side. Lee leaned to the side to glance past you and Cove's eye. The grin on her face widened while she waved. Hi, Cove. Hey, nice to see you, Lee. I got him practically at dawn. It was a whole thing, but at least I made it here alive. Lee exhaled and slumped her shoulders to emphasize how exhausting the ordeal was. Behind her, Liz made her way over. She crossed her arms at the scene. I'm here too, in case you were wondering. I wasn't. I'm always wondering if you're there somewhere. Liz's lip twitched before twisting to a smug smile. She brushed a stray hair out of her face. You make it sound like I'm always following you around. I have a life of my own if you weren't aware. The plot twist as she sings the main theme to our love story work. Oh my god, imagine. We would love to see it. I know, but when I'm home, I'm always keeping an eye out for my big sister. Old habits. How sweet. I miss the days of checking to see if someone else made it to the TV first, too. You laughed. Of course that's what her mind would go to. Another friendly shout rang out in the living room. It was as cheery as it ever was from the many times you'd heard it over the years. Good morning, family. Your parents both came out from the side hall together. Morning. Well, now that everyone is here, I do have a little something to mention. Mom put her hand lovingly over her wife's. Mom leaned her head into Ma's with a matching affection. Oh my gosh. You're pregnant. You're going to have a third child. Imagine. Oh my gosh, that'd be like a big twist. We're all still having dinner together, but Pam here actually made plans to take me out to brunch to celebrate our anniversary. Just the two of us. Please, she hooked an arm around Ma's waist. Sorry to push you out, but I'm sure this group of mature grown-ups will be able to entertain themselves for an afternoon. We don't need to find a babysitter or anything. I'm still adding that to my TV series adaptation. Yeah. You know, we had 2 great kids that we adopted, and now we want to try to have one of our own. I'm Pregante. I'm due in 9 months. You're getting a little brother. Totally. Yeah, have fun, moms. Don't worry about it. Understood. We'll tell you all about our shenanigans at dinner. This works out, actually. An afternoon open means there's time to meet up with Terry and Randy. Hopefully they're free today. Your 2 school friends still lived around the area. They knew you were coming for your mom's party, but when or how you might arrange to see each other wasn't set in stone. Definitely, we should call them. I have some people I'd like to say hi to as well. Liz had her cell phone in hand, ready to get her plans made before she was even done speaking. Arching an eyebrow, she then directed the next part at Lee. Would you want to come along? We've missed out on a lot of cousin bonding time in the past. I'd love to. It would be an honor to hang out with you, Liz. But I thought you were my cousin too. And whose fault is that? You put your hands on your hips, pretending to admonish her. Liz huffed. Would you rather have spent less time with Lee growing up? No, but you could have joined us more. Liz's expression softened. She ran her hands down the front of her outfit, smoothing the fabric. You're not wrong, but today I'm calling dibs. Okay, bye. Excellent. It's settled. She squeezed her wife's hand. Her gaze took in the whole room, ecstatic to have the house full again.
Self-voicing disabled.
Self-voicing disabled. Shut the fuck up. Today is going to be perfect. I think so too. I truly couldn't be happier with my wife, my children, and our whole beautiful family. It's already a wonderful anniversary. There were ahs and sweet comments from the group gathered around the couple of the hour. Seeing how your moms were, you couldn't help but hope that when you got to be their age, that you could be as proud of your life as them. After that, you enthusiastically began setting up plans to meet up with your friends. They were both able to come see you, having kept their schedules free for this, and you couldn't wait. Cove was also speedily sending text messages. Since you conveyed the plans to Terry and Randy, you imagined that he was letting his parents know about what he was going to be up to. Excuse me. My excitement is bubbling out! The group continued to chat and catch up until it was time for your mom's brunch and your big meetup with your friends. Soon enough, everyone was out the door looking forward to their fun-filled afternoons and the dinner later that night. Once outside of the neighborhood street, you looked at Cove. He stood at your side with a bent smile. Terry and Randy were driving into town while you and Cove were traveling on foot to meet them at an easier-to-reach spot. Man, we really are kids in Sunset Bird again, having to rely on other people who actually have cars to really get anywhere. Now we're stuck walking to whatever is nearby. I mean, we're reverting back to infancy. I mean, we never drive anyway. Cove rolled his eyes, landing them on you amusedly. Fine, you're right. I do like walking. Let's go. You bounced forward with several steps and shot Cove a playful look over your shoulder. With that, the two of you began your trip down the old road. Oh, town road, gonna ride till I can't no more. It was a casual stroll into town, and before you knew it, you were at one of the large parking lots in Sunset Bird. It was the one that used to have the little crepe stall. Oh, he's not here anymore. Remembering the delicious smell, you got lost in thought. The store did well enough that it moved into a full-size building a couple of years ago now. You've seen pictures. It was very cute. The parking lot was now just, well, an empty lot that cars could theoretically park in. Not many took the offer. Cole pulled out his phone, texting Terry and Randy in a group chat to let them know that you made it. Someone must have answered already, because Cove gave you a status update while staring at the screen. Randy texted, I can see you. Oh, the blare of a car horn cut you off, and you and Cove turned towards the source of the sound. One of the windows rolled down. Oh my gosh, Terry! Your friends had arrived, making a spectacle of it, as expected. Being the only car meant that they got the pick of the lot, so they pulled to a stop in front of you. The window closed back up, and instead, the two front doors popped open. Terry and Miranda stepped out onto the pavement. Hi, Cove. Hi, Dae. With a cheery wave, Miranda skipped towards you. Terry, on the other hand, walked speedily over to Cove, squeezing him into a hug. A quiet laugh escaped Cove, along with a majority of the air in his lungs. He didn't fight the constriction, but instead gave Terry's back a pat with a large grin spreading across his face. When he let Cove go, Terry came right up to you. He held his fist up for you to bump it. Turkey! Cause I can see you waiting on the hall for me. Terry, my man! The shoulders gradually began to shake harder while your lips twisted teasingly. Confused, Terry's eyebrows pinched together like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Gabble, gabble. You wiggled your fingers, thinking of them as long, colorful tail feathers. Terry snorted the moment the image clicked in his brain. Gobble, gobble. It felt so nice to have your friend group reunited as adults. Terry was currently a full-time lifeguard down at the busy beach a town over. You were proud of him. He'd helped a lot of people in his line of work. In recent years, you and Terry were able to form an even closer bond. It was reassuring to have a friend who knew what it was like to go through changing parts of their identity. That gang is back. But there's one missing, though. But I won't say any more. You could go to him for understanding, and you knew that Terry felt the same about you. Miranda took Cove's hand and one of yours in her other. Her eyes alight. She gave you both a gentle squeeze. Ah! I'm so happy to see you again. Hey, Terry. Hi, Miranda. He answered assuredly. It was clear that he was equally glad to see them. This reunion was long awaited. Where's my hunky boyfriend? Where's Pookie? Pookie is missing. For a while, Miranda had been working hard as an assistant at a school while continuing her own education. She also kept busy running a small online shop, selling crafted knickknacks she made. Oh my gosh, it's been forever. I know. I shouldn't let either of you go. Don't you just want to stick around here forever? Randy, we can't stay like this forever. How will you create art with both your hands in use? Okay, I'll give you your hands back. Miranda released her hands. Giggling, she eyed you both carefully. So, how have you been? Things have been nice. Everything, it's fantastic. It's perfect. I can tell. You're sparkling. Sitting up straighter, you felt a surge of pride for yourself. You're really happy with where you were in life and where the trajectory seemed like it was taking you. I'm really glad for you. What about you? I'm super. Terry settled up next to Miranda and put his arm around her shoulder. Sighing dreamily, Randy chuckled up at her boyfriend. Yeah, things have been unbelievable. He pressed his cheek against Miranda's, and she let out a light squeak. The sight put an amused grin on your face. Your friends made a wonderful couple. They knew each other well and cared about each other so much. It was no shock at all when you heard the news that they'd started dating. Observing them, you thought about the way Terry asked Miranda out. The relationship seemed obvious now, but in the moment, it took a lot of guts for him to take that step. Look at these lovebirds, unlike certain people over there. Well, I wonder who you're talking about. I don't see nobody else in this parking lot. Couldn't be me. A small smile. A small sigh escaped you as you thought about your own romance status. And actually, your eyes moved towards Cove. Your stare locked with his. Oh god. An embarrassed blush warmed your skin. You weren't expecting him to be watching you too. He glanced elsewhere after being caught. Cove then pulled his phone out and peeked at the screen. He repeated the motion every so often. You raised a curious eyebrow at his unusual behavior. Cove was too focused on whatever he was doing to even notice you noticing him, which was even stranger. Is there anything either of you want to do while you're here? Any place you'd want to see? I'd be up for a lot of things, but actually there is something I want to do right here. Oh yeah? What's that? What could it be? Terry poked at Cove's arm playfully. Miranda met your eyes, suddenly asking if you had any idea what Cove was talking about. You shrugged. I just want to see my friends. Huh. Cove, you're already doing that. True, but I could be doing it even more. You, Terry, and Miranda all turned to Cove with identical, incredulous expressions. His stare moved to a point past you three, and you heard the scrape of sand and gravel underfoot. I want to see my little boy. Here he comes. Someone else stepped to the parking lot. Startled, you jumped at the call of the warm voice shouting over. There he is! We love him. Oh my god, is that my boyfriend? It's him. Running a hand through his hair, the person who crossed the lot was unmistakably Derek Suarez. He was beaming the whole way. It's been too long, even though it actually hasn't been that long, but long enough. Oh my gosh. Derek! Give him a hug. He was comforting and solid, but he was also big enough that it was hard to fit him in your arms. You could feel the rumble of his laughter against your cheek. Derek held you in return. Ah! I missed you too. He spoke to you gently. You were still just being there, reunited with him. Derek was a good friend of yours, and he had been for a long time. Hey. He waved over at Terry and Miranda pleasantly. Over the years, they all had met several times in passing, simply through being friends with the same people. Sup, big man? Hi, it's great you could come. Cove put himself next to Derek. Happy, he clapped a hand to his friend's shoulder. Hi, thanks for coming. And of course, thanks for inviting me. Sheepishly, Cove looked back at you and the others. That's when it clicked in your mind. It wasn't his parents that he was texting earlier. It was Derek the entire time. Sneaky, sneaky. A sneaky, rebellious boy you are, Cove Holden. Derek is in town for a few months to help my dad and his dad with some work. Yep, I'm working on my own business thing too, but I'm still involved with the running the scuba shop when it's called for. Hubby invited boyfriend. Sneaky, sneaky. Indeed.
Very nifty.
Nifty indeed. Humming, Derek elbowed Cove. But hey, we don't have to stand around here for my sake. What's the plan? Let's hit the town! Eager to get going, everyone piled into Terry's car. The rest of the afternoon was spent visiting spots all over Sunset Bird, laughing and reminiscing the whole way. Once it started to get late, Terry brought you and Cove back to the neighborhood. You didn't have to walk there after all. You didn't get out until promises were made to see each other again before your trip ended. Side by side, you and Cove stood in the street and waved at the car as it drove away. Terry tapped the horn for 2 honks while Miranda stuck her hand out the window to wave back. You caught Derek in the back window, giving you both a wide grin. Sighing as soon as the car turned down another street, they were finally out of sight. There they go. Well, that was one party. Time for another. Ready to go see your moms? Of course. It's far too early to hop off the party train. Cove raised his eyebrows for letting out a hearty laugh. He nodded in the direction of the house. Lead the way, conductor. Choo-choo! Bum, 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 bum. Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh my gosh, I still remember that, like, train horror game. the horror Thomas the Tank Engine game. Spirits high, you and Cove crossed the distance to your house. It was almost time for the anniversary dinner. You barely stepped over the threshold of the condo before Ma descended, eagerly welcoming you both. The usual greetings were followed by questions on everyone's well-being, after which the conversation moved onto the excited chatter about tonight's dinner plans. Cove excused himself to the restroom to finish freshen up before being on the move again. But when he returned, you were shocked to see he had entirely changed outfits. Where did that come from? I packed it with me so I could get dressed before the dinner without having to go back to the hotel. Didn't you? Or maybe you have stuff still here at your mom's place? You fool. You absolute fool. Cove, I hate to break it to you, but no, I definitely didn't do something crazy like that. But your mom's party. It's at the country club. Yeah, and so are middle-aged folks in Hawaiian shirts. What's your point? You already had the Hawaiian shirt on. This isn't like those summer stories where they were having a real party. We're only going for a regular meal. Cove was befuddled by your explanation as you were with his actions. He threw his arms up, desperate for understanding. A hunk in a fancy shirt? I might die. A hunk in a fancy shirt that has precariously not buttoned up all the way. Why you got your titties popping out? Slut? Just for me to stare at and drool over? I think not.
Seriously?
How can you not dress nicely for a country club? I don't think the Cypress is as special as you decided it is. You saw Ma, and she was in formal clothes, and she's one of the guests of honor. Titties out because he gay. Gay for me. You realize now that whenever you went to the country club on a normal day, it was a family time with just you, Liz, and your moms. Each time Cove came, there had been more exciting things going on. You never would have thought of that before, but his perspective suddenly made a lot more sense. His frown wobbled, and his cheeks became far pinker. He looked down at his own self regretfully as he pulled at the cuffed ends of his shirt. He seemed more like a scolded child than a grown man dressed for the latest charity gala. I thought she was going to get changed while you and me were. Not no way she'd need a whole lot more time than that. Well, it's okay. You look very nice. Such a cutie. I love how much of an idiot you are. Oh my god, he's stupid. I love that about him. Cove could only sigh, fully embarrassed. Cove's eyes stole a glance at the hall, as if he was calculating if he'd have time for another quick change. Unfortunately for him, it was not meant to be. The time to head out came far quicker than you expected. And look over there. Like father, like son, except he... What? Okay, now yours are up too high. You need to get, like, one button popped off to, get some breathing room in there. Does that mean Cliff is straight? Cliff and Kira swung by the condo to make sure everything was in order. And then for your second surprise in that night, Cliff was also in formal clothes. Cove's face excitedly whipped towards yours at the same time Cliff went to Kira's. The two men pointed at one another. See? He knows. Exactly, sport. Kira was talking to me like I was crazy. He is crazy! You and her thought alike in terms of Holden boy antics. The aforementioned Kira placed a hand delicately and dramatically across her eyes. Clifford, our son only knows this because you were the one who raised him. Cliff chuckled, his arm moving to scratch at the back of his neck. I mean, yeah, we knew Cliff was straight the minute he offered us $20 to be friends with a child. Is that a tell? Is that a tell that he's straight? By making a kid paying a kid to be friends with another kid? I did not know that. Well, you know what? True. He did do that, so... Yeah, you have been dubbed straight. Yeah, that's my boy. Because straight people can't make friends. You know? It'd be like that. The ends of Ko's mouth gently bent up. He truly was his father's kid in more ways than he ever realized. They may be the only ones in the group, potentially the only guests at the entire club. I'll gussy it up, but at least they could now take solace in one another. That looked to be good enough for them. All of the Ursa family, as well as the honorary members, Cliff, Kira, and Cove, headed out at the same time to the Cypress. It was to be a perfect reunion. An impeccably smart host, how are they smart, greeting you on arrival, smoothly leading the way to the set of tables reserved for your group. Once you're all settled in, chosen drinks were poured into delicate glasses. The food will be coming out later, letting you soak up the atmosphere for a little longer. Smiling, your parents faced a group of familiar faces, all gathered here together to share this special day with them. Mom reached over and took Ma's hand, clasping it between both of hers. Thanks for being here tonight, gang. Marrying this lady right here is the best thing I've ever done, and there's no one else I'd want to celebrate that with. Yes, we're so lucky. Not only do we have each other, but we've got such a large and loving family through all of you. Around you, you heard people saying aw and chuckling appreciatively at the comment. Lee had clasped her hands tightly in front of her, her eyes shining. Your eyes met Liz's misty ones, and the affection she had for her mom's carried over to you two. Ah, kissing, ew. You returned your attention towards the happy couple just as they leaned into kiss, smiling all the while. The table responded with cheers and clapping. Shouts of happy anniversary and other congratulations continued even after they'd broken apart. Mom beamed as she watched Ma giggle dreamily.
Oh,
Oh, hey! Cove's head snapped up suddenly, and he placed both hands flat on the table. Dad! He narrowed his eyes as he stared at his father. I know what you did. Oh my god! Cove! At the anniversary dinner! He's like, wait a second. Cliff's eyes were wide as he glanced around nervously, looking genuinely confused. I'll let it slide, just because we all get here, except Cliff, of course. What? What did I do? You offered Dae $20 to be my friend! There was a perplexed murmuring as the table started asking their neighbors about the sudden accusation. He loves drama like us, he does. None looked more baffled than Cliff, who scratched his head as he screwed up his face in intense concentration. When did that happen? Ko threw his hands up in the air. Behind him, you saw curious glances heading your way from nearby tables. The first time you met! The memory returned to Cliff. You saw clearly in his expression, which flickered like an old, dusty light bulb from pensiveness to realization. Oh yeah. He winked at you, and then plastered a sheepish grin before turning back to his son. That's starting to ring some bells. My old master plan. Sorry, sport. I thought you were straight. He couldn't make friends, apparently. Cope slumped back down into his seat, the fight leaving him in the face of his father's total lack of shame. Sighing, he shook his head. Apologized to Dae. Oh, aw. Cliff's expression went somber as he looked at you straight on. He usually was so laid back, especially now that Cope was old enough to get himself out of most trouble, but it was a little unnerving. He opened his mouth. You braced yourself for this apology. Instead, he gives you a thumbs up. Thanks for letting me get away with it this whole time. You're also my true ally. Oh my god, Cliff. Oh my god, Dad. The same reaction. You're welcome, I guess. Can I have that $20 now? Kira rubbed the bridge of her nose, her eyes closed, and she didn't seem surprised in the least. You could only suppose she had enough direct experience with Cliff's antics to be inured to the new revelations. They're so cute. They do. They are. The ladies of your family, on the other hand, were shooting each other questioning glances, mouths hung open, but they were uncharacteristically quiet. Ma was blinking rapidly, still reeling from the back and forth between father and son. But none of your family seemed entirely sure how to react to the news. One thing was clear. Cliff had pretty much escaped trouble, all thanks to you keeping quiet for long enough. It's because I kept my mouth shut. 15 years! The waiters reappeared, delivering delicious plates of food, and the dinner began in earnest. Both conversation and laughter continued to flow freely as the night went on, with the two families relishing the opportunity to be together once more. Eventually, after your hunger and thirst had been fully satisfied, the plates were cleared and the event began to draw to a close. Cliff and Kiri exchanged goodbyes with your family before heading out together. Cove gave his goodbyes to his parents while hanging back until your moms were ready to head off. You were getting a lift back with your moms. It was already late, so you discussed the possibility of going straight to the hotel rather than going back to the condo, but Cove had asked if they'd mind taking him back to the neighborhood. He wanted to visit it a little longer. Your moms had happily agreed. Liz and Lee were feeling tired, so your mom swung by their hotels during the trip home while you and Cove made the full journey with them. Riding in the back seat of your mom's car with Cove felt more than a little nostalgic. As your eyes drifted over to him, his head resting on the window, it was hard to believe how much time had passed. Mom stretched as she got out of the car, smiling over her shoulder as she headed towards the house. Time to put my feet up. You two joining us? Cove shook his head. No thanks. It's your anniversary. You don't have to entertain me. I'll take a walk. It's never any trouble to have you over, Cove. Let him do as he pleases, Lonnie. You better not stay out too much later, or there'll be trouble. Ma chuckled as Mom waggled a finger. Her expression exaggeratedly severe. She reprised a role that, in truth, she never really played. Neither of your parents had been particularly harsh as you'd grown up. Ma joined in the act. Don't go too wild just because there's no school tomorrow. No school. Laughing, they made their way inside, leaving you standing out in the dark street with Cove. You didn't even need to ask him why. You already had the answer for this. He wasn't yet ready for the day to end. Without a word, Cove began to stroll down the road. You walked alongside him. You know your destination long before you arrived on the dark and utterly deserted beach. There were no lights down here, nothing but the moon and the stars for illumination. The only sounds were the gentle waves rolling in and out, and the soft sound of the footprints you left in the sand. In other words, it was perfect. Cove stepped out into the waves without a word. He looked up at the sky with a smile, then tucked his head down and began to pull his fancy shirt off. Oh my god, he's stripping! He tugged it over his head and loved it backwards, further up the beach and out of reach of the waves. Didn't know I was getting a show. Cove froze, his arm still raised from when he'd thrown his shirt. Slowly, he came back to life, stiffly pulling his arm back down. Your commentary had made him self-conscious. Laughing, you clapped your hands in delight at his awkwardness. Cove slipped his dress pants off and tossed them back in roughly the same direction as his shirt. He was down to just his polka dot boxer briefs. Oh my god, oh my god. Sometimes you were really struck by the ways in which he was braver than his younger self. This was definitely one of those times. He never ever would have done this when you were both living on this street, but you also knew he still wouldn't do it with anyone other than someone he'd spent all those years with. Which all swim. Cove waded further into the water until it came up to his chest. You unfastened your clothes and left them behind you, just as Cove had done moments before. You didn't even bother to see where they'd fallen before following him deeper into the sea. Cove grinned as you approached. I'm gonna be in so much trouble with my moms when we get back.
I guess.
Yeah, oh well. Think fast. He splashed water at you as soon as the words had left his lips, giving you no time to prepare. The splash had caught you full on, leaving you spluttering and drenched. Oh my gosh, how dare you! This means war! Seeing what you were doing, Cove put his hands up for protection. It was no use. The water washed over him, leaving his hair soaked through. Cove sighed and then looked at you mournfully. The sudden shift in mood alarmed you, but those words disappeared as soon as he opened his mouth. It was still not Marfo. The world is cruel. He snickered. After a moment, Cove's mock sadness broke, and he joined in. The two of you wound up drifting further down along the shoreline, chatting and enjoying the chance to be back at the beach that had provided the backdrop for so much of your childhood. Eventually, a silhouette of structures appeared up ahead. As you drew closer, you realized it was the old playground. Cove spotted it too, and hurried towards it, dragging himself out of the water and heading into the park. What sand coated his feet and lower legs with every step, clinging thickly enough that it began to resemble a bizarre pair of boots. As you followed him, you wondered how many visitors in this little park got these days. There were officially no children living in that neighborhood now. Cove gazed at his surroundings in wide-eyed awe. He didn't care at all that he was soaking wet and dressed only in his underwear. Crouching, he gently pushed one of the child-sized swing sets, marveling at all. I can't believe how tiny everything is. Were we seriously small enough to use these? At some point. He shook his head, unable to fathom just how little you'd both been when you first met, then walked over to the monkey bars. Once, these had been a challenge for you. Now they're a little more than waist height next to Cove. Cove turned his back to the bars and hopped up onto them with ease, sitting on them comfortably. Sit down. It was strange seeing Doll Cove just pose with the baby playground, but you took your own place on the structure. This place had been something so exciting to Cove back when he first arrived, and apparently it was to this day. As you settled into your new position, your arm accidentally brushed against Cove's bare skin. Skin-on-skin contact. Your heart raced as you straightened up, your eyes darting to Cove to see how he'd react. Cove flinched at the unexpected touch. Even in the dark with no light except that provided by the night sky, you could tell he was blushing.
Sorry.
I was the one that got in your space, I'm sorry. He was fidgeting now, his fingers drumming an anxious pattern on the bars as he tried not to let his panic escalate further. It was strange to see him act this way now, after growing up together and having incidental contact being no big deal. Then again, it had never made your heart race like this during those years either. Cove, who was staring fixedly at the ground and still tapping at the bars, was clearly very conscious of these new emotional fraught reactions to your presence. Sometimes, knowledge was a curse, and the tense expression on his face made you suspect that him being so aware of it was adding to the problem, rather than making it any easier for him. He cleared his throat and looked away, taking solace in the horizon. Here we are again. Looks like it. The mood had shifted now. The funny, impulsive night trip with a spike of adrenaline that came from you playing in the water under the moonlight had settled into something quieter and more nostalgic. Cove leaned back, tilting his head towards the sky to admire the stars above. Too bad I wasn't able to bring my surfboard along for this. Cove shrugged dramatically, trying to lift the mood a little. The dinner was really nice. It was great to do all this. The smile he had when he spoke those words fell as quickly as it had appeared. It went by so fast. We all came out here for the party and it's over. Liz, Lee, our parents. We'll all be going back to our own things now. What else can you do? Except say it's okay. He shook his head, a wry look twinkling in his eyes. If I never wanted to see things outside of this neighborhood, I would have actually followed through with that pretzel plan. This place and these people, they're our foundation. It shaped who we are now, like making castles out of sand. I owe a lot to Sunset Bird. His eyes crinkled fondly, and Cove's voice was gentle when he spoke again. We had a good childhood, I think. You're sounding so old now. I'll always remember our days here.
Me too.
He shook his head, sighing heavily. Alright. His smile took on an uncharacteristically harsh twist, and you had a feeling where this was going. You were to get home before your dumb parents, who don't know anything, get mad. He had a laugh at the half-hearted impression of young Jeremy, the boy you met in this very park. He chuckled along with you for a moment before tapering off. Hope we don't get grounded. The jokes kept coming. It was very amusing to imagine that not only could your mom somehow ground you as a fully grown and independent adult, but that their powers extended over Cove as well. As much as you were enjoying being back here, Cove was right. You had to accept that you needed to go now. It was late and your moms were still expecting to see you before you got a ride back to the hotel. You and Cove hopped down from the bars, landing easily with the ground only a short distance below. Before you could return, you had some clothes to retrieve from the beach. You retrod the same path, following the footprints down to the shore you'd left in the sand only a little while earlier. Once you and Cove had scrounged up your abandoned clothes, you started to walk up this old path home, side by side. Droplets of water slipped down your skin and fell onto the road as you made your way back to your mom's house. As you and Cove were still soaked and sandy from your earlier adventure, it was likely that you were leaving quite a trail in your wake. But you'd seen Cove's bedroom growing up. It was only natural for him. The air was slightly humid, already pleasantly dense with moisture that felt like a hug as it closed around you. Any damp footsteps that were left behind would take longer to dry in this weather. The signs of your adventure might even be visible when the sun came up the next day. You hoped so. You quite liked the idea of you and Cove leaving your mark on your hometown again, even if only for a little while. Despite being soaked through and mostly undressed, the balmy summer night prevented you from feeling any chill. You were entirely comfortable. In truth, you felt warm inside and out. The day had been so lovely, spending time with friends and family, and your eyes drifted over to Cove. Your gaze at his face. It was never far from your mind, and yet you seemed to find something new to marvel at every time you looked. But this time, as you studied him, a realization struck you that brought all other thoughts to an end. Cove's face was still wet, with tiny clear balls of seawater stubbornly clinging to him. But among them were also drops of an entirely different sort of saltwater. Tears. He was crying. What's wrong? Cove? You uttered his name seriously, determined to learn what was wrong. What's with the drama music? Cove stopped walking as he heard you call his name, but he kept his body turned to the side, not facing you directly. He blinked rapidly, trying to bat the tears away, and only causing more of them to fall instead. What's happening? In a new attempt to regain his composure, he took a series of breaths, but each shallow exhale rattled in his throat. What on earth happened? His wide eyes remained locked on the road, leading up to your childhood homes. He bit into his bottom lip. You stepped closer. You can tell me anything. You placed a hand on his arm. I want to help you. You ran near him. You can tell me. Finally, his expression crumbled like cardboard in the rain. All efforts to keep himself together overwhelmed by the tears he could no longer fight back. His voice cracked as he spoke. I don't want this to end. He screwed his eyes shut tight and shook his head. What the day? It's not Sunset Bird or the beach or this neighborhood or any of that. As important as those are to me, and no matter how much of an impact they've had on who I am, I meant what I was saying at the park. How can I still be happy, even when I'm not there? How can I move forward with my life? Because as much as I love them, it's not those places themselves that made me happy. Not really. What was it then? It's who I was with when I was there. The last sentence was whispered so softly that, even in the quiet of the night, you could barely make out his final words. At last, he turned to face you. When he spoke again, his voice was gentle, but clearly audible. Dae, you're what defines my life. And I'm so scared that maybe someday, you won't be there anymore.
I love you.
He said it! You gasped. His sudden, honest declaration had sent your mind and body into overdrive, your pulse racing and head spinning. So you had many, many thoughts. None of them were coherent enough to put into words, effectively stunning you into silence. Cove didn't retreat in the wake of your silence. That's how I really feel, but maybe I shouldn't be doing this. The last words were tinged with regret, and for the first time since he looked directly at you, his gaze faltered. I know me having all these feelings after so many years might not be what you want. Cove laughed, his self-effacing strain clear now. I mean, why now? I don't know. I don't really know when it began or how, but by the time I noticed it, it was way too late. He shook his head, wondering at himself. I can't stop it. I can't ignore it, and I can't even hide it. I'm in love with you, and you can tell me the truth about what you feel. There was a lump in your throat, and if it hadn't been for the rapid pounding in your chest, you might have thought it was your heart.
It's okay.
I promise I'll be okay, no matter what. I just want to know what you want. He smiled a little sadly, but in a way that crinkled his eyes. You knew the offer was genuine. Not a PlayStation meant to make you feel better. He was prepared to be rejected. It was your turn to respond. And this is it. This is the most pivotal moment in the season finale. The response will be... Give me a kiss. Your body had responded to his words faster than your brain. It knew that you couldn't let him go, and while your mind was searching for words to tell him how you felt, your mouth had locked him into a kiss that said it all. Cove, meanwhile, had gotten a shock from your sudden movement. He was still and stiff, not responding to the gesture. You couldn't really blame him. He'd been so clearly expecting another response entirely. Oh my god. It took you long enough. You're so dumb. I could never reject you. That's rough. You're the most precious man in the whole world. I love you. How could you not feel that way about him when everything he did tugged on your heartstrings? Cole was floundering, his mouth twisting into many shapes as he was about to speak, but he was incapable of settling on even a single word. As much as you felt that you were about to burst with anticipation, you waited patiently for him to recover, and when he did, the explosion came not from you, but out of his mouth. Oh my god! It just echoes throughout the neighborhood. Everybody hears the lights turning on. What's that sound? The volume made you start. Cove, however, wasn't finished. How? Why? Why are you asking me? His hands flailed wildly. You weren't sure if he was apologizing or defending himself or trying to flag down something flying overhead. Oh god, I'm sorry. You don't have to answer that. It's just... He cupped a hand over his mouth, locking away his words until he could think coherently about what he wanted to say. You watched him, concentrating. Finally, he moved his hand away. But what came out wasn't a word, but a squeak. He flinched at his failed attempt at speech and cleared his throat and said, despite every muscle in his body fighting to retain his composure, his brows furrowed as he looked at you, and his eyes misted with tears once more. Do you mean it? Really? Of course! Of course! His misty eyes were wide, full of hope and love. Obviously! I never meant anything as much as I meant that. Yes, and yes again. I'll keep saying it. I never meant anything so strong as I mean it right now. Ko's mouth wobbled as his composure weakened further. He sniffled even though the tears hadn't ever stopped. After all this time, you... That was the only secret I was keeping all this time. Of course he does, you fool kids. Nearly out of popcorn. His quiet words trailed off. Instead of being overcome by his emotions, Cove angled his brows in resolution and stood up straight. Cove swept you up in his arms, lifting you off of your feet to bring you closer. Cove's grip tightened as he squeezed you. In his embrace, you could feel the joy and the desire to never let you go. A wish that you could now finally fulfill. He laid his forehead to rest against you, relishing the fact that he was actually free to do this. You didn't know how long you stayed like that, entangled in each other. Now that you were finally together, neither of you wanted to let the other go. But eventually, Cove released you. He took a few unsteady steps backwards, as if the experience had disoriented him, and he needed to find his footing once again. Cove then covered his eyes with a hand. He began to laugh. It was slow and worn out as the buzz from the high emotions had now drained away. It was also tinged with self-derision. I really wish I'd done this when I had my clothes on. I'm so embarrassed. I just confessed my love to you and my boxers. My polka dot boxers, no less. I mean, I can relate. I had to ask you a story while you were only wearing a swimsuit. You don't have to be embarrassed by it. You having your shirt off is half the reason I accept it. I mean, how could I say no to all that? Hey, we're a couple now. Being undressed is already just cutting to the chase. I waited to ask you to a story in a swimsuit. That's true love right there. Cove, lay it all bare. Cove laughed again as he brought his other hand to his face. He covered each eye completely, blocking his vision as he curled his head. Oh my god, I remember that! What a day that was. There was a crookedness to his smile now that as he spoke. Our relationship is awkward. Always. Yeah. Cove spoke again, his voice as gentle as falling petals. Thank you, Dae. This is my only dream. And it came true. I love you more than anything. My heart. My soul. No, thank you. Two of you stood there facing each other, both comfortable with the silence that had now descended. You grew up together, your lives entwined, and now that would continue into the future. Knowing that filled you with such beautiful joy. All you could think, in that moment, was how wonderful your life was. You didn't know how the two of you knew when the time was right. Only that as one, you turned to go inside to make your farewells to your moms. Once inside, Cove had cocked his head towards you nervously, while your moms were looking the other way. You knew what that tilt of the head, that slight raise of the eyebrows meant. He didn't know what to do now. Should something be said? You shook your head. It was late. Moms were already in their pajamas, and you had a feeling he would prefer to wait. Cove nodded, smiling. Still standing there, in his underwear. After a long and eventful day, as well as the shyness over just how you'd confess your feelings while drenched and barely dressed, you both could have a break from the high emotions. You'd share the news tomorrow, when it would all be less immediate, and the inevitable teasing would seem less intense. The act wasn't quite enough to fool your parents, who seemed to notice something was up, but curious glances were all they gave you that night. Cope stayed silent as he put his casual clothes on again, placing the formal ones back in the bag he brought them in. You appreciated their consideration, and as the car to take you back arrived, you silently thanked your lucky stars for such thoughtful parents, and for Cove. Then before you knew it, you're at the hotel. By the time you and Cove finally dragged yourselves to your hotel room for the night, the sky had been dark for some time, and the lonely hotel hallways were quiet. The late hour made you feel a sense of fulfillment. You really were making the most of your trip. It was such an odd thought that this was almost over. You had settled into this new routine naturally. All the familiar streets and faces made everything easy to get used to. The two of you drowsily shuffled past an ice machine and into your room. Cove set his phone on his bedside table, and you followed suit. You both started settling in for the night. The hotel room was a welcome sight after your long day. You noticed Cove rubbed the back of his neck and yawned. His voice was quiet and distant. I hope the pet sitter is doing good. The wish wasn't exactly directed to you. It was just a sleepy thought that Cove had unleashed upon the world at large. But you still agreed. I hope so. That sitter is watching some of the best animals on the planet. Cove still kept fish after all these years. Delightful, colorful things in huge aquariums. He spent a lot of time when he wanted to relax just watching them swim. He also had adopted a pet, who you loved dearly. My doggy, Sam! Your home was a lovely place full of critters that both of you cared for. That was why, with both of you gone, it had been important to find a decent pet sitter. Cove's anxiety about leaving them hadn't subsided. Over the vacation, you had caught him a few times texting the pet sitter and asking about his fish. It'll be okay. Cove turned his head to you, nervousness still coming off despite its exhaustion. Remember, you gave that pet sitter such an in-depth fish orientation that they knew all of their names. And most of the fish are practically identical. Cove laughed, instantly lighter. He nodded in satisfaction. Mission accomplished. Cove yawned widely. He seemed confused at the magnitude of it. He groggily blinked at you. I think it's time for bed. That is a great thought. You yawned and then raised an eyebrow at Cove for making you catch his. He gave us a little smile, but then ended up yawning again. I think so too. What? Did I just read that? I don't know. The two of you got changed and brushed your teeth. In no time at all, both of you were cozy and ready to sleep. Can we share a bed now that we're together? Right? I mean, that's not moving too fast, right? I mean, we shared a bed in the past before, so, I mean, it's only natural. Let me just slide in here. After that, you and Cove headed over to the opposite side of the room to climb into your respective beds. No! No, no, no! You tucked yourself under the covers gladly, positioning your pillows to be just right, then shifted to peer over at Cove. He was facing you back, just like the night before. You watched the man who is now your partner lying comfortably in his bed. The physical distance between the two of you in this situation felt different than it would have before. You joked that you should have gotten a king-size bed before you'd never be able to get closer. Now that possibility was finally real, it was nerve-wracking to think that the next time you might be sharing a bed. There are new expectations at the table that need defined boundary. Ooh. 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 We need a king-size bed. It's too bad these hotel beds are so narrow. If we got in that king bedroom we could be sharing right now. Cove sat up straight on his own mattress. Oh! Oh, sorry. Until earlier today, I really was not convinced you'd want to do something like that with me. Oh, I understand. Don't feel bad about it. I was only teasing. Thanks. A crooked smile appeared on Cove's face, and it seemed as though he was also had some joking in mind. If I wasn't so tall, we might have been able to make sharing that happen still, but yeah, that's not going to work either. I guess it wasn't meant to be. Where there's a will, there's a way. Are we not going to try, at least? You sighed dramatically and stretched your arms out across the minimal width of the hotel bed. Next time? Yeah, next time. I cried. That promise was comforting enough. Cove gently spoke, his words like a lullaby. You have a good night, too. Cove's eyes fluttered shut, and he let out a contented sigh. Your eyes felt closed sometime after that. You were not sure exactly when, only the fact that they were now too heavy to open. You felt a mixture of bitter and sweet emotions. You were happy to be here, but sad it was ending. There was relief that you would soon be in your own home again, but also wondering when you could return here. There are many more feelings swirling around your head that hadn't even crystallized into thoughts yet. Paradoxically, you felt nice but also confused, but then also nice from the confusion. In the back of your mind, you realized that you really must be tired. Unsurprisingly, your exhaustion did not give you too much time to muse on your emotions, and in what felt like seconds, you were already dreaming. The dreams dancing around in your head became fragmented and faded until you couldn't remember a thing about them at all. You were growing more aware of the real world. Oh my god, he wake me up. You could feel Ko's hand on your shoulder, shaking it. As you became more aware of your surroundings, you could feel where the bed dipped from his other hand. Squeezing my eyes. I don't wanna wake up. You could feel the warmth of Ko's hand on your shoulder, shaking it again. An amused laugh escaped him as you buried your face into the pillows. It's morning. Time to get up. I'm so sleepy. You cracked an eye open, and Ko greeted you with a fond look. He withdrew his hand. You sat up fully with a big yawn, stretching your back, then your arms, and lastly your neck before accepting the day. The blanket fell to the side while you swung your legs over the side of the bed. A part of it almost got caught on your foot, but you kicked it away. Ko put a hand over his mouth, but you still caught the way his shoulders shook. He took a step back, giving you room to get up. Today would be your last day in Sunset Bird. The only thing you had planned was some family time in the old neighborhood. You figured you'd see where the day took you from there. Yawning again, you glanced over at your clothes. There was just one more day to live out of your bag. I'm really looking forward to having all my full wardrobe again. I don't have anything clean left, but oh well. Hey, Cove, is there anything you'd like to see me in today? Oh, that line. I wonder how he'd answer now, because I know the answer when you're already together. But the answer... What do you just... The day after you get together? No, look nice on whatever you wear. You always do. Oh, he doesn't say it. How about nothing? Not bold yet. You knew from the tone of his voice that Cove was sincere, and his praise warmed your chest. Dreamily, Cove's head tilted as he watched you. His blue eyes were as lovely as always, but then they strangely widened all of a sudden. What's wrong? I was just thinking, we can't avoid sharing the news any longer. We're going to have to face our family's teasing when we see them. Groaned. Now I'm thinking about it too. They're going to have a field day. Yeah, we have no other choice though. Yeah. He appeared a lot less worried than he did a minute ago.
No problem.
No matter what, it'll be worth it. I'd pay any price to be here. To be us. Elated, your smile widened. Alright, let's get things going. Our families are waiting. Nodding, you and Ko swiftly finished getting ready in the small hotel room. As soon as you had your stuff together and were ready to go, you were off. During the ride there, you and Cove decided to visit his dad's house first this time. When you got dropped off, Cove eagerly hopped out onto the street with his eyes locked on his father's condo. Your gaze fell on your boyfriend. He stood in the middle of the street where you grew up together, while the summer sun made him shine, though he was the brightest light in your eyes no matter what. You turned away, hiding the way your face reddened with embarrassment. It was so hard to believe that Cove was actually your boyfriend now. After all these years! Oh! You can propose to him in step 4? Day 1 after getting together? Well, I mean... You could do that in step 3, so... Save. I'm gonna save real quick. Okay. Let me... Where is it? There it is. Shall we do it? Do we propose? Or should we take it slow? Should I put up a poll, maybe? Cause I mean, that could go either way, you know. Imagine, I remember, oh my gosh, proposing in step 3 is always like so funny. Cause like, will you marry me? He just instantly goes, yes! Yes, I will! But now, well, you know what? Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe. It was such a beautiful thing. This was everything you'd ever let yourself dream about, and somehow it was real. Your heart drummed quicker in your chest, and a tiny wish hid in there. It's worth it for the lulz. Worth it for the lulz. Okay, you know what? You've convinced me. Could you honestly ask him to marry you despite only officially dating for one night? Glancing back at Cove, all the tension and doubt left your body. You knew Cove, and you knew him more than anyone else in the world. You didn't want to rush. You want to catch up to everything you've been missing before now. Hey, Cove. Yeah? He mumbled the answer out of the corner of his mouth, eyes glued to his father's condo. You want to go to Poppy Hill with me real quick? Cove moved to stare at you directly at you. Mouth drooped in a tiny frown as he absorbed your suggestion to suddenly change the plan. But once he did see the look on your face, he shook off any lingering confusion. That smile you loved grew once more.
Of course.
Lead the way. he right into my trap card. You release a breath through closed teeth, pairing that with a nod. To the hill behind your old house you went, just the two of you. It was a journey you were intimately familiar with, but this time was simply not the same. Actually, doing it you felt heavy and tense, you were full of deep, powerful emotions you needed to express, painfully nervous. True happiness. No, these emotions are intense. You pulled your legs forward with great effort. Cove began to worry over your apparent strain, but you weren't able to console him. Not then. He was your world. It was overwhelming just how badly you were in love with him and how much you wanted to always be with him. It wouldn't be possible to keep that inside much longer. Under your feet, tarmac gave way to dirt and sparse tufts of grass, which then transitioned into a lush, full field of green and white. The gentle fluttering of petals was your greeting. Poppy Hill, the exact spot where you first met your neighbor over 15 years ago. You shared countless memories out here over the years, catching fireflies, watching the clouds, simply taking the time to just talk to one another. You grew there together, side by side. This small part of the world was inextricably linked with Cove in your mind. It was the place where your most important encounter occurred, and you knew it needed to be the place where you asked him that most important question. It was silent. You and Cove faced one another, affection filling the small space between you. He still didn't know why you were doing this, but he was transparently didn't care. He was only happy to be there. To be with you. There was an almost painful pang in your chest. The strength of your emotions for him, and the knowledge that he held the same feeling back for you, made your body ache. You never would have imagined this when you first met, but your best new playmate. But now as adults, it was the absolute truth. You wanted to be with Cove. You needed him to be yours forever. You loved Cove. You loved him so deeply. At that moment, you couldn't have been more certain. Every step you'd ever take it in this life was leading you right here. Oh, with words or with action? I was imagining in my head, you know, picking up. I was kind of like thinking of like doing like together. Like you pick up a white poppy, and you start telling him about how much he means to you, and slowly you turn to him and get down on one knee. Like, hey, present him the flower. Will you marry me? I'm sorry, I just now decided to do this. I didn't have time to get a ring. Just tie it around his finger, like a little makeshift. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cute. Like a little makeshift engagement ring, just tying the flower around his finger. I mean, there'd be the issue of it not lasting, but that'd be so nice. I want to wait like 20 seconds before I get into this whole thing. Everybody needs to see this. Not the ads trying to block people from witnessing this true love. Okay, got like 5 more seconds. Hurry up! Okay, here we go. You know, what's action? You picked up a nearby poppy and held it up to Cove while getting down on one knee. Your orange eyes shone in the bright light of day, and you hoped he could see the strength of your love for him as you looked up at him from down on one knee.
Self-voicing.
No! Fuck off!
Self-voicing disabled.
It all happened in slow motion, his expression of serene affection shifting into quivering awe, eyebrows lifting nearly to his seafoam green hairline, and his mouth stretching out to the limit. But despite Cove's mouth being open, he didn't breathe a word. He was entirely incapable of that. So you voiced your own thoughts. Hey, my gosh, will you marry me? Cove, will you marry me, please? At that, Cove crumbled to the ground, his legs completely giving out underneath him. Bubbling drops of tears flowed down to the grass just as heavily. Dae. That single word was all he could choke out, but that alone was all the inspiration you needed to continue your open-hearted confession. You had to let Cove know everything you kept to yourself, about your relationship, your history, your love for him. I know it was only a short while ago when we finally became a couple, and now I'm proposing, but I can't pretend. You've been there in my life since we were kids, and I want us to always be together. With every day that's gone by, the more you've meant to me. You make me so happy. You're pretty and lovely and wonderful and perfect. I've only gotten as far as I have thanks to you. I can't even imagine not being with you for the rest of our lives. I love you. It's not possible to express how much I feel for only words. You make me so happy. And will you marry me? The corners of his mouth pulled it up as he let every word reach deep into his heart. Still smiling like the sunshine, he parted his lips to answer, but all that came out was a gas squeaking sound. Frustrated when he tried to push past that block, he instead got himself into a stuttering coughing fit. Sorry. No need to rush. We got the rest of our lives for this. They're Covey. Oh my gosh. We got the rest of our lives. Cove instinctively reached forward and gripped you for support. He hung his head low, taking in slowly deepening breaths. He didn't mind in any way, shape, or form. He'd wait forever for Cove if it was necessary. Eventually, the trembling in the fingers that were holding you settled out. He was able to lift his head once more to meet your gaze. I will. Oh my god. He's just as crazy as I am. I'm a crazy bitch for proposing after one day of dating. He's the crazy bastard for accepting it. Despite tears clinging to his eyes, the words were evenly spoken. Cove had complete confidence in this. Dae, I'd be so grateful to marry you. There's nothing more that I could ever ask for. You never understand the term music to your ears better than when you heard the way he laughed so sweetly in that moment. I've thought about this a lot, you know. Probably way too often, and now it's real. It's happening. I don't know if I'm even good enough with words to tell you how happy it makes me. You're what's made my life such a wonderful, beautiful, amazing experience. I'm luckier than I have any right to be just to know you. Thank you for asking me, and for being mine, and letting me be yours. I love you. Let's get married. Delicately, Cove lifted out an open hand. You started, understanding what the gesture meant instantly. You tied the poppy into the shape of the ring and put that on Cove! Yeah, yeah, yeah! You created the makeshift ring and then slipped it onto its rightful place on Cove's finger. It was a delicate fit that wouldn't last, but he had no complaints. His voice thick with emotion, Cove whispered, It's perfect. I'll keep it always. His eyes were transfixed on the poppy. He admired it openly before finally lifting his gaze to meet yours. The view of the ocean blue held glossy drops of water, and somehow all you could think was that was him, Cove Holden, the man you loved, and now the person you're going to marry. Yes! You couldn't hold back any longer. You launched yourself at him and knocked him down the rest of the way to the ground on impact. He laid flat on his back. His eyes were wide, but swiftly pulled you against him, as close as he could get, desperate to feel you, and hear the audience all around the world yell, "Finally! This is your moment, audience. This is all for you." You leaned forward and kissed your fiancé. He kissed you back lovingly, and you could feel the smile on his face. The place where you met, where you grew, where you fell in love, was now the place where your shared life together truly began. Your eyes drifted closed to let yourself experience it, to anchor yourself in this moment and hold on for as long as possible. You, the both of you, never wanted to let go. You were certain of it. The rest of your days would be spent side by side. It was all you'd hoped for. There will be no riot against the screenwriters. And now today there will be no riot. We survived. When the swirling excitement of your new engagement relaxed back into the more familiar style of gentle comfort your relationship brought, Cove stood up. He lifted you along with him. A lingering warmth filled the air around you, much more than normal heat of summer. It was all your own. With a gentle tone, Cove spoke once more. Let's go see our families. The smile on his face was shaky. You knew he was nervous to tell them the news. Yeah, they're waiting for us. You arrived back at the doorstop of the Holden residence. Your fiancé put his hand on the doorknob and took a deep breath. It was clear why he hesitated. Once he twisted that doorknob, it would be time to announce that you were going to be married. Yeah, we were so concerned about telling them we were in a relationship now. Now we have to also be like, oh, and also we're getting married. He stole a glance at you. He tried to stay calm, for both your sakes. He nodded with his confidence clearly bolstered. And Cove opened the door. We're here! Together, you stepped into the house, hearts beating fast. Cove stopped before even placing his foot back down. There was unexpected company. You saw your family, not just your mom's, but Liz and Lee as well. Along with them, Terry and Miranda were curled up on the couch, and Derek sipped at a glass of water. Surprise! Surprise! Everyone else followed and let out a chorus of surprises. Cove's eyes widened, and he swallowed hard. This wasn't part of the plan. Oh no, there's too many. What took so long? Oh, no reason. You're slowpokes. White people. Cove remained almost completely frozen in place, though he finally did place his foot to the ground. Hey, sport. Dae, your friends came over for a visit, so I invited them to breakfast. And since we're cooking for a crowd any whoozy, we decided to ask Pam, Noel, and all over too. Pretty nice, huh? Yeah, it's great. Hello, you're all here. You looked from face to face. Wow, this was certainly timing. The groups looked back with expectant smiles. Cove automatically rubbed the faint scar on his arm. I have an announcement. All eyes turned to you. It was awful lot of eyes at once. I am intending to take Cove, James, Holden's hand in matrimony. Oh wait, that'd be so funny. Just say, I'm getting married. It's like, oh, to who? Like, Cove. Oh god. They're all so good. Or just casual. Yeah, Cove and I are engaged. Cove nodded with a serious expression. That's right. I'm going to marry Dae. Cove reached over to take your hand as a physical sign of your union. Engaged? Your sister's shout cut through the room from everyone else's reaction. It was clear that she was speaking for the majority of the room. When did you even start dating? I thought that was going to be your big announcement. Well, it was. But then I decided, you know what? We can do better than that. Cove refused to meet Liz's eyes. His attention jerked down closer to his shoes. If he had got even 1% more bashful, you imagine he'd have to start hiding behind you. Last night, before going back to the hotel room, I asked to be Dae's boyfriend. Worth it. It is worth it. Then today, this morning, Dae proposed to me. Damn, man. Derek's amusement was playing on his face as he snorted. Cove's eyes were fixed in genital area of you and Cove, completely stunned. Kira smiled wistfully. Ma giggled as most of the room continued to goggle. Well, I can't blame them. When you know it's right, it's right. You have a point. They're both so casual about it. It's like, yeah, it happens. I guess I can't be too surprised that they're pulling this. Just figures. It is very up their alley. Is it? Cove and Dae really just went for it. Yep, what else would that pair do but skip the whole dating thing and go straight to a wedding? Don't worry, Derek, you're still my boyfriend. I just don't have a husband. Listen, just because one of us is married doesn't mean you're not the boyfriend anymore. No dates, only marriage. We can go on dates after marriage. Cove huffed and tapped one of his feet on the ground, on the floor. I told you, we technically dated for a 9, okay? It counts! Liz's cackle was the loudest of everyone's laughs. You had a feeling that they'd be chuckling about this for a long while. Probably always. Suddenly Cove was almost bowled over by Cliff throwing his arms around him. His father compressed him even more tightly as Cove regained his balance. I'm so proud of you, Cove. The two of you are going to be happy. I am sure of it. Dad! Cove sniffled, eyes wide and emotional. Then he hugged his father back just as firmly. Yeah, I will be. Both of us will be. While the two embraced, Kira came up over to your side. She put a hand on your shoulder and spoke gently. Thank you for being so wonderful to my baby. I'm lucky and grateful that you're going to be a part of my life forever. Cliff pulled back and switched to patting the sides of Cove's arms. Well put, Kira. Dae is a keeper for sure. Kira sidestepped over to her son and pinched his cheek. Then she tapped his nose playfully. Cliff gave her space, though continued to keep hold of Cove. Your own parents had now reached you. They took hold of one arm of yours each. I can't believe how grown up you are, but I couldn't be happier with how it all happened. Congratulations, Dae. You're one of the smartest cookies there are. You're making an amazing life for yourself. Liz elbowed her way to the front with Lee not far behind. Your mom stayed at your sides. Lee squealed in your face, pumping a fist in the air. This is totally amazing! You're seriously getting married. It's like we're real adults and all that. Yeah, it'd be almost hard to believe that my baby sibling is marrying a person. You know, if Cove wasn't such an obvious choice as a husband for you. Her smile turned abnormally soft. You're doing good. Thank you! Out of the corner of your eye, you notice Cove's parents release him. He took the opportunity to slide closer to you and nodded at Liz. Thanks for the positive rating. Lee giggled and your mom's had some chuckles. Cove stood awkwardly, not entirely sure if he or Liz was being laughed at. Your three friends had stayed back. You believed that they were intentionally giving your families a chance to have a moment. But once they said their pieces, it didn't take long for your friends to swarm you excitedly. Congratulations on the engagement! It's crazy how we're really at this point of our lives. Sometimes it feels like high school was yesterday. But it's great. You both are definitely Sunset Bird's best couple. Best couple. We've been a couple for 2 days. Terry nodded eagerly. You are the aspiration. I'm stoked that you're going to be official. This is a big step, but I'd say you've more than earned it with everything you've been through over the years. You both deserve to be with each other for the rest of your lives. Cove had appeared weepy before, but this sealed it. He cried. Everyone's words had built up and closeted Cove shedding the happiest tears you'd seen. Thank you. Hey, Goobag! You spread your arms wide, welcoming everyone in for a good squeeze. There's so many people. You can hack it. Sure, let's do it. Cove was the first arms around you, although it didn't take long for everyone else to join in. You and Cove were squished into a giant hug of family and friends. Cove wiggled a little to embrace you tighter. He pressed his cheek against yours, still wet from his oncoming tears. Good luck, kiddos. You've got a journey ahead of you. Cliff agreed with a chuckle. They've known each other for 15 years already and still haven't gone sick of each other yet. How hard could making it work for the rest of their lives be?
It's no trouble.
For the two of them, not difficult at all. I'm surprised Briscoe didn't really even once during this big life change. My god. Imagine you propose. He runs away. He's like, I don't know how to do this. Thank you so much, everyone. It means a lot that you're all here for us. Cove nodded against you with a watery smile. All the parents shared touched glances. Liz gave an okay sigh, and your friends beamed back at you. Of course. What else is family for? With the hug complete, people once again spread out so everyone had a breathing room. From your ear to your cheek, over the bridge of your nose and to your other ear, your blush warmed your skin, and it didn't stop there. It spread over every inch, encompassing you with affection. You could feel with every encouraging pat and excited hug the outpouring of love and acceptance from your friends and family. Truly touched, you watched them step back and take their seats again. When the excited energy buzzing around the table started to calm, you had a second to truly appreciate this view. The most important people in your life all together again. Okay, but honestly, that reaction to the proposal, that was like the best one I've ever seen. Fucking Liz, engaged? When did you start dating? Last night? That was worth it. That was good. We love to see it. All proposals are a banger. It still felt too good to be true to have everyone here. And then you noticed that Kira stood back up. She clapped her hands once in a satisfying smack. I hate to interrupt, but I thought you'd want to know that the food's done cooking.
Oh.
Food? Oh, I kind of forgot that's what we're here for. Embarrassed, Cove scratched the back of his neck and kept his gaze away from anyone in particular. The crowd burst into loud fits of laughter. Wow, I didn't think you would ever forget about your precious food. No offense, Dae. He eats like it's both the first and last time he's doing it. Liz directed the last part at you with a sincerely apologetic shrug. Meanwhile, Derek shook his head, fighting back a grin. As funny as that is, Dae definitely does a better job at getting Cove's attention than meals do. Clearly. Cove's stare never left the floor, but you could tell he was listening to the teasing. Leaning back in his chair, he quietly crossed his arms and pouted. Amused, your lips curled teasingly. It didn't go unnoticed, and your sister covered her mouth with the palm of her hand in anticipation. Maybe I should take some cooking classes, increase my Cove magnetism even more. A loud bark of laughter escaped Derek before he could rein himself in. He turned to Cove, and the expression still hadn't changed. It might make you too powerful, honestly. The thought of that pulled a deep laugh from you. Before it vanished, you even caught the small crack of a smile on Cove's lips. Cliff crossed the floor to place a pile of silverware on the table, and then he dropped stuff on the other surfaces around the rest of the living room. When he was done, he gestured towards the food.
Okay.
The plates are in the kitchen. Serve yourselves and sit wherever you'd like. The guests happily formed a line, and the meal was steadily passed around. Before long, each person claimed a seat in the whole living room area. Some at the table, others on the kitchen island, and some situated at the couches. Conversations trickled across the various clusters of friends as everyone dug in. Cove finished his plate in record time with a pleased sigh. He put his fork down and surveyed the room. This is really cool, just how we're getting to do this kind of thing. I like this too, Cove. I hope we'll be able to make this happen again. Of course. There'll always be more seasons to get the game back together in the future. And like for a wedding. Yes, the two of you might even dare to celebrate your yearly anniversary. Every year! The smirk on Liz's face grew only wider as your moms giggled at her, teasing. Mom shook her head and chuckling softer now.
Shush.
Shush. Honestly, we just might just. We just might. Oh my god. You've made a good point. It does come around every year. You should. Seriously, you deserve a big celebration for your magical day. The kids are right. You've got a lot of people who want to appreciate you. You've got to give them a chance. It's true. I know I have a lot to thank you for. There were more nods of agreement around the room, and your moms took each other's hands for support. Neither were expecting so much encouragement. We'll think about it. She'll think about it, and I'll tell Lana to stop thinking so hard if she doesn't agree. Pam? Good job, Mom. Now with that settled, let's us continue to enjoy this perfect gathering. Agreed. There was a playfulness and curious stare as she scanned the room. She slowly placed her index finger on her chin. Now that I think of it, there's something I haven't done in a while. Eyebrows were raised at Kira's incomplete thought. She was wordlessly urged to continue. Kira didn't hesitate. Look through all the photos Cliff has here. Wouldn't that be fun for all of us? What? Mom, why would you say that? Practically all those photos are of me. And that's why. Embracing my baby boy is just one of the perks of being a mom. Yes, Kira, show us the pictures. Much to Ko's dismay, his mom was thoroughly entertained by his outburst. She winked in your direction. Meanwhile, Cliff eagerly stood up with a wave of proud affection for his son and completely missed Kira's teasing intent. I think that's a great idea. Anyone else interested in the pictures? Hell yeah. I am. Lee shot her hand up before Cliff could even take a full step. Terry and Marina snuck each other a glance before nodding with matching grins. That sounds swell.
That's fantastic.
That'd be lovely, Cliff. Mom tried to hide her amusement behind her hand, but she couldn't stop the snicker that slipped out. Oh boy. Give them to me. I want to see them. It's been too long since I last saw little Cove. This one helped Metric a soft look that told you he was thinking the same thing. I'll bet this will be a gold mine of entertainment. Cove buried his face in his hands and sighed, slowly. His shoulders deflated in defeat. Fine, we can take a look. Everyone happy with picture time? Yay! Yes! They both excitedly raised a fist in victory. Smaller cheers from your friends and family worked their way around the room, and even you bounced up to your feet excitedly. Cliff flipped open his faded album of physical pictures. He held it up to his face. The corners of his eyes crinkled, and though the book covered much of his face, he was certain he was smiling fondly. But he didn't keep it to himself long. Laying the family album on the dining table, you and the rest of the party gathered around to get a peek. There he is! Oh my gosh, his little baby. His fat arms. Just want to squish some beach bum. Yo, baby, you can be as much of a beach bum as you want. The first picture on the first page was Baby Cove in a cute little onesie. There were several coos and ahs from the group, and Cliff's eyes were shining with tears as he sniffled. He's grown so much. Oh my gosh, how precious! At that, Cove's pout twisted into a shy smile. Your grin widened as you reached out to grab his forearm. Do you even realize that you were the cutest baby? People say that about every baby. Not every baby. His answer was mumbled and accompanied by a roll of his eyes. Pressing your lips into a hard line, you firmly shook your head. You then lightly reached up and pinched Cove's cheek. I have eyes, and they've concluded that you were the most adorable baby. Cove lightly swatted your words away. Despite his attempts to deny your claims, there was a happy shine to his whole demeanor. After breakfast in the photo showcase, everyone decided to stick around. Hanging around Mr. Holden's house turned into taking a walk around the neighborhood, and then for lunch you switched over to your mom's condo. It was a really good time, enjoying each other's company, but eventually the sun began to set, and there was nothing else to delay your friends and family from going home. Inside your mom's house, the home you had been raised in, the group was taking their time saying their goodbyes. It was tough for you, your family, your friends. You knew what was weighing on the mood. It might be some time before you'd see one another again. It was a pleasure having you all here. You're welcome to come around again anytime. Ma wrapped an arm around Mom with a light chuckle. Mom leaned her head gently into her wife, and they both beamed.
I appreciate it.
Oh, from baby to buff. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. I know we're all adults with our own hectic lives, but we appreciate the time taken to visit. Snorting, Liz crossed her arms. She leaned on one hip out to the side while her lips curled teasingly. You make it sound like this was such a struggle. Some of these people still live here, and it was a vacation for everyone else. Even so, it was very thoughtful, and I hope everyone has such a safe trip. Kira clapped a hand on Cliff's shoulder. He was puzzled as she leaned in so he could hear her. That means you too. It's dangerous crossing the street. Remember to look both ways. Hey now. Yeah, good luck with all the important grown-up things I'm sure you'll have to do when you're all out of here. Definitely. I'll give updates next time something exciting happens. Or something lame so I can vent about it. How nice. I'm glad Lee won't be forgetting the little people. Never ever. I'll keep in touch too. You better. Well, me and Randy aren't going far, so we can keep an eye on the town for the rest of you. Nothing will get past us. Right. We'll make sure everything is okay. No need to worry at all. That's kind of you. Miranda and Terry each gave each other pleased smiles, already committing to their self-appointed task. Derek scratched the back of his head, wearing a pensive look. It's always sad when I have to leave this town. Happens too often, but at least there will be people looking out for Sunset Bird. That makes me feel better about it. After a pause, Mr. Holden gave the younger folks a thumbs up.
Great.
That's all great. You've got a lot to be proud of, and a lot to be looking forward to. Well said, Cliff. I'm thankful that I've been privileged to witness the growth you've undergone over the years. You've each matured beautifully. Cove was touched by his parents' words and struggled to come up with something to follow. Yeah, it's been good seeing everyone. No one had taken a step yet, and you couldn't put this off any longer. It was time to say goodbye. I miss you.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. We'll miss you too, kiddo. Very much. Mom wrapped you in a big hug, and then you felt the weight of another person in her arms. You realized Liz got pulled in too. We'll be back soon enough that you'll be kicking us back out. I don't think that would happen. I like to see you try to push it, though. It'd be funny. She held you both tighter for another moment for letting go. Afterwards, there was no more sniffling and hugs. There was more sniffling and hugs. A lot of hugs. Then people started trailing out into the street, seeing others off. Your friends and family got into their cars and left the neighborhood. By the time things had fully settled, you realized that the sun had set. Earlier, you and Cove decided on having a car pick you both up. Neither of you wanted to bother your parents after such a long day. It would be a little while longer before it would be there, though. It was the right choice, as both sets of parents shot you weary looks. They four seemed ready to call it a night. It didn't take either you or Cove very long to assure them that it was okay to head home and go to bed. With one more round of good night and goodbyes, your families returned to their condos. Then the only people left on the street were you and Cove. Cove closed his eyes, humming happily, while he waited for it to pass. He stared up at the sky. The moment was comforting, but suddenly your face scrunched up, bemused. Something was wrong. Something that made you feel somewhat empty. Then it dawned on you. Cove's wind chime wasn't here anymore. The feeling of the wind washing over the street just wasn't right without that familiar tune. But Cove had taken it with him in the move. With a bittersweet smile, you knew that you'd be able to hear it again when you got home. Cove's hands were in his pockets, and his shoulders were relaxed when he caught your attention with a tilt of his head. Can you guess what I'm thinking? Well, at that moment, you were in the neighborhood you grew up in, together with some time to spare. The corner of your mouth curled into a grin. Cove made things too easy for you. That the fireflies are out? Right. Do you want to go to Poppy Hill before we leave? Always. There was an eager bounce in your step as you and Cove crossed over towards the hill behind your mom's house. Side by side, you stared out at the view in awe. There they all are. As you imagined, the hill was dotted with the glowing of firefly light. It perfectly reflected the memories of childhood held closely in your mind. Cove sighed contentedly, seeing them across the hill, weaving in around the blades of grass and the stars above. Cove cocked his head to the side before his expression twisted playfully. When he met your eye, you were about to prod him about what was on his mind when he took off running. I bet I'll catch one first! No! Mow is on! Kicking up a bit of dirt and leaves, you bolted in the opposite direction after a few fireflies that captured your attention. The first one that flitted into your range, you dove for it. Did you get one? It escaped between your fingers, but that didn't dim a second of your fun. You shook your head, trying to find your next target. The next one. I can feel it. Unless you're feeling my future victory. Out of the corner of your eye, you watch Cove get spun nearly around, following one that was staying just out of reach. Chuckling, you crouched down low, searching the air. The pursuit for fireflies continued until a handful had been caught. Cove crossed over to you with a bright grin that could rival every twinkling bug and star around you. Cupped between both of his hands, Cove carefully held a firefly. The corners of his mouth twisted before a few giggles escaped him, and you knew that feeling well. The way the firefly would buzz around, tickling the palms of your hands. Cove's eyelids fluttered open, meeting yours. He watched you with a complicated mix of emotions, heavy with the weight of 15 years of history, of memories. It's really a relief that I got to see the fireflies. This trip wouldn't have felt complete without it. You're so right. The light breeze tousled your hair. Content, you were grateful that Cove made this suggestion. If we hadn't done this, I would have felt like something was missing once I got home. Me too. Taking a deep breath, Cove held your eye. He appeared to be conflicted about what he wanted to say next, and you waited for him to make his choice. It's so strange not to live here anymore. Most of my life, neither of us were ever really away from the Sunset Bird. Well, unless one of us went on a trip somewhere. Or when both of our families took trips together, remember that? He chuckled, losing himself to fond reminiscing. You couldn't help but match his grin. I liked that road trip one a lot, though I don't think we could all squish into that RV again. We're way too big. Laughing, Cove shook his head. His brow creased the longer he sat with the thoughts spinning in his brain. Those visits back then with my mom, I remember what a big deal they felt like then. Be away from here without anyone else coming for a whole few weeks. Oh, how little I knew. Hey, what did you used to tell your mom about me when you were on those trips to see her? I remember. She exposed you. About 10 years ago. Thrown a little off kilter, Cove hadn't been expecting that question at all. Both of his eyebrows raised, and the part of you wondered if you had somehow spoken gibberish instead. Honestly, I've been wondering about it since I was 13. Kira always kept the details to herself, and you never said a word either. Mostly I just tell her about the times we hung out. And since you were obviously there when things happened, I didn't have to tell you too. That's true. But I would be really enthusiastic about it when I was telling her what happened because, you know, you were an important friend to me. The time we spent together was important. So I definitely would have been embarrassed if my mom told you any of that. I really appreciate that she kept it to herself. Oh, I think that's nice. All of it. Thanks. Thank you for telling me. Finally, Cope parted his hands and released the firefly back into the hill. It flew up around his face before darting away up into the sky, but your gaze was fixated on him. There was a touch of wistfulness in his features as he watched the bug disappear into the night. It wasn't until Cope turned his attention back to you that his demeanor warmed. Okay. I'm ready to go now. I'm not! Do we have to go? You asked Cope with pleading eyes. His smile on his face fell while he rubbed his arm. I mean, our parents would probably be thrilled if we stuck around, but we really shouldn't. You're right. And I know you're right. But still, it's hard. And I'm just not ready yet. The corner of Cope's mouth pulled into a frown. He watched his shoulders slump with a sympathetic look. It's okay, Dae. We've done a pretty good job bookending things, I think. We've enjoyed this trip the best we could, right? I mean, you know, with the whole love confession and then marriage proposal, yeah, I think we did a pretty good job on this trip. He rubbed his arm awkwardly, nervously waiting for your response. He sighed. Well, you do have a point. But it's still sad that we're leaving, and I don't want today to end forever, ever. You can always come back, whenever you want to. We can try to make it work. I promise. Cove stood tall and studied you as his reassuring words sank in. You knew he meant every word, and you believed him wholeheartedly. Okay. With Cove right there along with you, you made your way down the hill, with the same stars above trailing the way. Your last night in Sunset Bird was closing out. Something in the air gently roused you from your peaceful slumber. Sleepily, you took in the room. It wasn't your own. As your dreams ebbed away, you slowly began to piece together the puzzle. Sorry, I'm just checking something. What? Oh, never mind. I was just... Oopsies! I may or may not have like another game like going on auto in the background, so I was just checking it to see where it was at, and apparently it stopped at some point. Oh well, that's fine. I'll boot it back up when after this. It was mostly dark out, and you were still in the hotel. This was your last day there, in fact. Checkout was at noon. You're on the unforgiving floor, but had no complaints. You had slept... Oh! We got shared the bed! Hell yeah! After gently getting actually engaged, you simply could not wait longer to share your space with them. Since the two of you couldn't fit on the narrow hotel bed together, you suggested another method. Cove certainly didn't mind giving up the bed, especially since you were joining him there. Blankets and pillows were piled up to try adding some comfort, though those didn't compare to falling asleep with your head tucked against your now fiancé's chest. You couldn't remember the last time you had such a good night's rest, mattress or not. As your eyes adjusted to what little light there was to catch onto, a smiling face cozied itself right above you. There he was. Good morning, Dae. The grin was bright enough to make it seem like maybe the sun had risen after all. Good morning. Wow. My dream come true, you said sarcastically. Oh, it's my dream come true, you cooed. What have you got up your sleeve today? Please, stop being a morning person. You are my dream come true. Naturally, you weren't surprised to see him, but that didn't stop you from enjoying it every time. His expression softened at your voice, the tender affection in his gaze obvious despite this dim space. Mwah! Propping yourself up on your elbows, you leaned in towards him, covered the intent in your movement and bent down, meeting you halfway in a kiss. Would you prefer to me to wake you up by tapping on the window? Look at those two lovebirds! Finally, after all this time. Finally together. Maybe. Cove simply smirked, amused by his own wit. I mean, you really should have expected this was gonna happen. I mean, fine. Shame on me, because you got me more than once. Way more than once. Alright, woke me up for something. Give me your pitch and I'll see if it's better than sleeping. Well, this is our last day here. Everyone might still be asleep, but if we get up now, we can at least see the neighborhood. Do you want to? With you? Definitely. Cove used his hands to push himself forward, off the ground. He had a lot of energy considering the early hour. Great! Then he had out one of those hands to help you get up too. Pick me up! Pick me up! Cove complied, crouching down to scoop you up before gently setting you down again. Before you could head out, you and Cove both need to get dressed. You did so quietly.
The strangeness of the hour meant that your body seemed less coordinated than usual. Each article of clothing a new puzzle, but you managed it. Such princess behavior. No. You know, if he was already offering, why not just pick me up, you know? Uppies. Pillow princess. The two of you were eventually ready to head out into the wide world. Dawn still hadn't broken when you left the hotel, yet it was easy enough to get a ride down into Sunset Bird. The journey was peaceful. You might have expected to sleep to attempt to claim you once again, but the sky is still so dark, but Kova's excited energy was infectious. Morning was finally starting to come over Sunset Bird as you arrived, almost like the sun itself wanted to be there to welcome you. Cove turned towards you, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. One more summer beach trip? You were sorely tempted to tease him, but his eager expression was just too pure. Sure. One more. You could have taken your time getting there, dawdling under the morning sun, or you could have taken the short walk at a regular pace. And both of those would have been just the right for some other occasion. But this time, without either of you saying a word, you and Cove set off sprinting. We're running! The two of you toured gleefully down the street towards the beach. As excited as and as ungainly as the kids you'd once been. You were laughing with joy and at the absurdity of it all. Being here at the break of dawn with a boy who you'd once discovered by the... Oh my goodness, my god. What is wrong with me? You'd once discovered on the nearby hill who never completely grew up. As it was still early, you did your best to keep the noise down. To the side, you saw Ko covering his mouth to still his own giggles, similarly aware of the people sleeping in the condos around you. You thought of what mean old knock-grandparents would have said if they could see you now. All you could do was continue running and stumbling down towards the beach, away from the residences and their sleeping occupants. It was only a few minutes before you arrived at the expansive ocean shore. Cove kicked off his shoes and strode right into the water, not stopping until his feet were entirely submerged and the waves tickled his ankles. Right, me too. After slipping your shoes off... Wow! Async, thank you so much for the raid, bud. Thank you, thank you. Oh, and Remarksy, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, everybody. I'm doing good today. How are you today, Async? Oh my gosh. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much. Let me give you a shout out. Async. But yeah, how was your stream? What were you all up to? I'm sure y'all had a good ass time. Let's see this clip.
This text here is the small line
Pokemon?
beneath the image. Lower text is this text here. If you make the image yourself, you can put yourself as illustrator and it'll show up down here.
Ooh.
And then you
Pokemon
can
card tutorial?
download your card. So you can make, if you want to, you can make this 3, and you can make a VMAX
Wow, I gotta
card
remove this.
for yourself.
But why? It's a part of history. Oh, look at that. But yeah, welcome in everybody. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Dae Ursa. I am a bear PNG tuber here on Twitch. I play a variety of games. For say, this is a clip that is not in my clip list. Twitch messes up. Oh, really? I just pulled it out of the void. Saying, which one shall we use? This one. God, Twitch so quirky. Yeah, I'm a bear PNG tuber here on Twitch. I play a variety of games. I mostly play visual novels, some RPGs, stuff like that. I am currently playing the visual novel Our Life, Beginnings and Always. We are finishing up what we've been calling the season finale of a slow burn run, where we've been holding off on romancing this dude that you see here on the screen till the last minute. And now we're getting married. Deep. So it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I appreciate the raid, but if I enter the clip window, but not make it, they store it, but not in my clips list. Run my clips out of nowhere. Damn. Why you gotta be like that? I'm just like, yes, this is definitely the one that we want to show when they get a shout out. But yeah, once again, I thank you for the raid. If any of you gotta do like a raid and dash to, you know, go get some rest or, you know, get something to eat, you know, take care of yourself, you know, feel free to do so. I appreciate y'all stopping by. But if y'all decide to stick around for this last little bit, I hope you enjoy your time here. Yeah, so yeah, we're pretty much getting into the tail end of the route here. It's been a long time coming, and we finally made it. It's been very painful for the audience, the slow burn, as slow burns usually are. It's just kind of like, just fucking kiss already. And it finally came true. Alright, after slipping your shoes off, you let the sea flow over you. It was cool against your skin, but not as cold as when the wave pulled back and your wet feet were exposed to the air again. The two of you stood there, watching as the sun continued its ascent over the horizon. Silence fell between you until finally, dawn had fully broken. Even then, Cove spoke in a whisper. Wow. I can't believe it's over. How are we already at this point? It went by too fast. We've waited 4 seasons for this moment. And it's finally here. A ghost of a smile crept over Cove's face, like the sun peeking out between clouds on an overcast day. Ah, hand holding. Shield your eyes, buds. They're so intimate. Cove reached out and enveloped your hand in his, pressing your palms together tightly. Wait, that's not my hand. My hands don't look like that. Excuse me. Wait a second. Who is that? Where is it? Yeah, these are my hands. Who are you holding hands with? Whose hand are you holding here, sir? I can't believe it. Holding hands with another. Right now. I guess we can say in this universe I might not be a humanoid bear person. Just a regular human. The silence returned, just for a second. I'm glad we came this morning. That we came on this whole visit back.
I'm so glad.
But more than anything, I'm glad for ending up in this town in the first place, where I got to grow up with a really nice neighbor. I wouldn't have wanted any other life. Listen, the budget was gonna skyrocket if we animated your bare hands. Honestly, that's fair. That's fair, I understand. I feel the same way, Space Cadet. I don't know why, but that little nickname is just so precious to me. Space Cadet. Cove looked over at you out of the corner of his eyes, not turning his face away from the sea. His expression was full of affection, from the gentle curve of his smile to his clear, contented brow. It was a stark contrast to the tears rolling down his cheeks. And I love you! You counted yourself lucky. Even though you were leaving now, this place had gifted you with so much that you carry with you whatever life might take you. The memories you made, the lessons you learned, the people you built relationships with. You'd keep those pieces of your life in Sunsetburg forever. You stood with Cove, silently watching as the bright rays swept away the last of the night's shadows until the day truly arrived. Your spirits were high as the sun rose ever higher in the sky. The two of you had found yourselves meandering back to the neighborhood street on sandy feet, strolling down the path just as you'd done thousands of times before. This was where it all started. You were compelled to look at the exact spot you'd first encountered Mr. Holden, sitting dejected on the curb. He wasn't like that anymore. So you couldn't forget that day began, just as you couldn't believe what an adventure it led to. Things had never been the same since that moment, and you couldn't be happier for it. Your mental lingering on that meeting had turned physical, causing you to stop in your tracks. It was only when you heard Co's voice calling your name that you remembered when you were, and realized what you'd done. And what a present it was. A shining sun, a clear blue sky, and Cove James Holden by your side. All the most natural things in the world. So, what's the next step? You watched Cove expectantly, waiting for him to guide you forward from there. There was a crinkle around his eyes as he laughed. It's up to you now. Me? You're giving me too much power. Aren't you worried about it going to my head? Cove smirked, shaking his head.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it. I'm listening, so go ahead. His eyes met yours, holding your gaze. I believe in you, Dae. No matter how much time might pass, there were some things you could count on to be constant. Cove, your family, his family, and all your other loved ones being there for you when you needed it was one of those things. Since the beginning, and for always. Knowing they were there, and you would never be truly alone, made the future look all that much brighter. Ooh, so many options. Want to find somewhere private to make out. Oh my god. Go through town, grab something to eat. We could see who could reach the end of the street fastest. Let's just wait and see what happens. The world was full of possibilities, even in this little town. You never knew what you might stumble across, even in the places you knew best, if you kept your eyes and mind open. Cove nodded, his gaze shifting from you to roam across the little place that you both called home. There's a lot that's still out there in the world. A lot of different ways things could go in the future. But for this, I think that'd be the perfect choice.
You beamed, his approval of your suggestion lifting your spirits ever higher. Your days growing up in Sunset Bird had been so wonderful. Even the prospect of leaving again made your chest ache. Yet you weren't going to let that stop you. It would be hard, but you knew that it would still be there, waiting, whenever you wanted to return. Facing Cove, who'd been by your side through it all, you knew that one day you'd look back on these moments now, just as you fondly reminisced about your childhood growing up there. Each happy moment you experienced became only a memory of what used to be, but that was what life was. And it was okay. As it was from the beginning, and continuing that way for always, life took another step forward. And life does take another step forward. You can always come back again. Always. I will. This is not the first time I'll come back here. The end. And there it was. The end of the slow burn route. No, we're not playing the wedding. I'm sorry. Go back to the menu. And that is the season finale of our slow burn run. It's been a long time coming, but those of you that have been there from the beginning, I hope it was very satisfying for you. That's like the thing with like slow burns. They're like so irritating to like witness and like watch through. But then when you finally like get to that moment, you know, that confession moment, it's all worth it. 10 out of 10 would go through all that all over again. Yeah, I agree. I agree. This was fun. I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to play this again. You know, honestly, it probably won't be the last time, you know? I'd probably always find like an opportunity to play Our Life. It's just such... It's not really like a visual novel that like... It's like a very unique form of a visual novel. Like, there's not a lot of them that like go through like life progression, you know? Like, what visual novels like you play through like hours of content where you're a child and then you're a teen and then you're a teenager and then you're an adult, you know? Like, it's very, I guess, like immersive, I guess. I mentioned it before, but like after playing like Our Life for the first time, like other visual novels were kind of like, I don't want to say ruined, but it was kind of harder to like get into them because they weren't like set up like the same way, you know? Because also a lot of visual novels you play as a character that's like already like drawn out, and like you're like playing as a character that you don't really have much control over, you know, of like who they are really. Kind of, whereas in Our Life, you like have like a shit ton of options. You don't have like that visual there, so you can like, you have like little visual that you can like the little chibi, you know, that you can like set. Okay, this is like sort of what I look like, you know, but it's not really like set there and stuff like that. So you can get like more immersed into it. You can really feel like that you're playing as like, you know, the main character here, you know. And like I said, other visual novels already have like a set character like that you have to look at, so you just look down and it's like, that's not me. That's not me at all. And stuff like that. So it's been hard for me to get into other visual novels after this one. It's just that good, you know. I love it so much. It's just such a fun little treat. And I'm so excited for the next game that's coming out. Now and forever. I can't wait. I want them to take their time, but I can't wait, you know? True that. Top tier content. Yeah, yeah. And like we've seen on, if you've been a bud on this Twitch channel for a hot minute, you know that there's a lot of different ways you can play the game. Like, just because you went through one route doesn't mean like it's one and done. You can play the same route over and over and like make these like subtle changes that make like big differences, you know? It's very like flexible, I guess you could say. It's not just set and done. Always one of my favorite games. But yeah, very satisfying indeed. And for those of you that came in at the last minute, I hope you enjoy that. And of course, anybody that has not played Our Life, but it might be interested, I highly recommend it. Give it a try. I believe the base game is free, I think? I don't know, let me see. And like the DLCs cost, I think, like $5 each. Yeah, the base game is free. And then like each DLC, I believe, costs about like either $5 or $10, which is, you know, pretty cheap in my opinion for how much content you get out of it. So, so I would definitely recommend it. Yeah. Wait, okay, let's see. So for all of these, oh my gosh, there's so many. Step 1 expansion, Step 2, Step 3, Cove Wedding, Derek Story, Baxter Stories. Yeah, like they're all under $5. So you know that is pretty good if I do say so myself. You know, definitely worth it. Highly recommend. I will continue to recommend forever. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know, I'm kind of considering. Should we look at the other confession scene? should we play through that? I did save it. Like when you confess to Cove right off the bat in the beginning. Should we play through that just a little bit? Just like the scene and then be done, or should we probably leave it there? Because I did have it saved because I was like, I kind of want to look at that later. Like I think it's like right here. Yeah, there it is. Should we? Should we? Should we indeed? You know what? We shall. Since we're going like a little bit under 3 hours, you know, we can do it. I vote yes. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Your vote has set the plan in motion. Thank you so much for the bids, Tiger. Oh my gosh, Tiger, you are very generous. I do appreciate that, bud. Thank you very much. It's like, we definitely have to now. But all right, time to confess. I think this is pretty much like the last confession that I have never gotten to do in our life. So you know what? This will be a nice little treat. All the confessions have been made. Give me a kiss. Cove's eyes crinkled as he continued studying your face. He tilted his head ever so slightly to the side as he caught that you were lost in thought about something. Am I too busy to make content? That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean? I know what you mean, And once again, very much appreciated, bud. You knew he was curious about what it could be, and didn't suspect anything. Not yet. Give me your hands. Wait, took his face in both hands. Reaching over, you threaded a hand through his hair. You leaned closer slowly as if Cove might bolt at the sudden movement. Like he's a wild animal. Then hand over Cove's, you took a hold of... Oh my god, aggressive. Just grab his shirt collar. Like, come here. No, let me rub my hand through those luscious locks of yours. You cradled the back of his head with your fingers, tickling the fine hairs at the nape of his neck. Cove's face was struck with bewilderment. He knew only that something was different, not what or why. He froze in place, his grip on the car so tight that the taut skin on his knuckles shone white. Though you were the one taking action, you still felt that same tension and nervousness. You were one step away from changing your relation forever. You couldn't know what would come of it, for good or bad, unless you took that next step. No going back now! And launch yourself forward and smooched him. No, Passion! More passion! You need him so much. Your lips locked hungrily against his, pressing deeper into him as you tried desperately to state your need. Though you could have stayed like that forever, you needed to hear his response. You broke away from him and watched him for a reaction. Cove remained stock still. Not even his wide eyes betrayed a flicker of movement or the briefest blink. You used the moment to verbalize the confession, so there could be no doubt. I'm so in love with you. Cove stared at you with wide open eyes. He was stunned into silence. The corners of his mouth twitched, but that was the full extent of his motion. You couldn't even tell if it was an attempt to speak, smile, or scowl. You paused. You had years of experience when it came to understanding Cove, yet you didn't have an inkling whether this was a good sign or a bad one. Biting your lip, you tried to remember to keep breathing as you waited for his answer. Oh no, he's gonna start crying. As Cove continued to gawk, the signs of life began to reemerge. The corners of his mouth trembled once more, then again. The arm he was propped up on wobbled, his elbow bending lower. He squeaked, the noise cracking in his throat, and he shoved himself backwards. He was out of the window, and worse, out of your sight, and the time it took to blink. Oh no! He's running! I'm sorry! You leaned over to the other side of the car, trying to broaden your range of vision in the hopes of seeing where he'd gone. You've seen this street on countless occasions, including through the dreariest weather and in the deepest depths of the night, but had never felt as empty as it did without Cove right now. Oh my god. You were looking at nothing. He did run! The click of a car door opening made you flinch. Disoriented, it took you a moment to realize that it was the door on your side, and it was being yanked open from the outside. Oh my god. Your lips parted as you tried to make sense of the situation before you. He'd come back. Ko planted a hand on the car frame, using it as balance as he bent down and stuck his head inside the car once more. He was so much closer this time, but he had still not uttered a word since your declaration. You searched his face for an answer, and an answer came in the form of a kiss, delivered while you were still sitting in the back seat of the car. With no time wasted, I got so scared for a second there. I was like, oh my god, he runned. He's getting out of there. Talk about a rejection. But no, it's not that at all. His lips pressed firmly into yours, as though determined to leave no room for doubt with a kiss that intense. It ended as suddenly as it began. You breathed heavily, raking the air into your lungs. Cove did the same, his chest visibly rising and falling. He still yearned for more. It seemed much too brief. Oh my god, I'm in love with you. He spoke evenly, carefully wanting you to know just how seriously he meant every word. His brows lifted almost in a plea as his composure broke, and he spoke softly, desperately. Let's be together. Cove. I thought it was more like, give me 5 minutes and I'll crumble down crying in happiness. I thought it was just like, panic. He's like, I was not ready to commit to a relationship right now. At this very instant. Like, yeah, give me 5 minutes to, like, process it and then I'll be ready. His name came out in a whisper. With that, Cove pulled himself out of the car yet again. You had no intention of letting him out of your sight. Luckily, he wasn't running. Instead, he stepped aside and held the door open, encouraging you to get out to join him. You hastily grabbed your things, your hands closing haphazardly around a mess of handles and fabric, and jumped out of the car after him. Since you had your hands full, Cove took care of pushing the door shut, all without taking his eyes away from you for even a moment. You waved the driver off awkwardly. The driver's like, I'm gonna get paid enough for this. The bag you were still clutching, swinging erratically. They correctly interpreted your gesture as a sign that you were ready for them to go. Your sights were still on Cove, so you only dimly registered the car carefully pulling out and disappearing into the distance. Then it was only you and Cove, standing in the middle of the street where you'd grown up together. The weight of the moment was heavier than the luggage you were carrying. Staring into Cove's eyes, you knew he felt it too. Give that driver a tip for having to live through that drama. Honestly. 5 stars. Did not interact. Put up with me confessing to the love of my life in the back of the car. 5 stars. I have $100 tip, After being there right by each other for the majority of your lives, you were really doing this. Sorry for springing this on you without warning. You don't need to apologize. His tone was entirely firm, leaving no room for misunderstanding. Dae. His tone was so wistful, a mere nudge away from sadness. Concerned, you listened as he continued. Tears collected in his eyes, gathering along the lower lid and threatening to fall. He struggled for the words he needed to say. I was so worried. We grew up together. It was never like this. He shook his head gently. You were Dae, my friend. Our relationship was familiar, understandable. But now, as a grown adult, I had to complicate everything by starting to feel so many new emotions. You nodded along, recognizing that same struggle. Ko had been an established part of your world, a fixture as constant as your closest family. It wasn't until you'd stepped firmly into adulthood that the tender shots of the new aspect to your emotions for him had sprung up unannounced, long after you thought things could change. And now, you're right here, in front of me, and making it okay. Making it real. Oh my god. The tears that he'd been fighting to suppress spilled out, and he began to cry in earnest. The earlier boldness he'd shown was washed away, engulfed by his overwhelming emotions. Wipe those tears away. Hurriedly rearranging your things to free up a hand, you reached out and brushed away his tears as softly as you could. There was no need for them. Not anymore. I love you, bitch. I ain't ever gonna stop loving you. Ko drew a deep breath. His eyes closed as he tried to pull himself together at least a little. As he exhaled, he looked at you square in the eyes. No one else in my life compares to you. There never will be, and there never can be, anyone else who means the same to me. Hi, Jack. Welcome in. Welcome. Coming in at a good point here. For me, it's only you. His words brought you such perfect comfort that you try to commit each syllable to memory, never wanting to forget a single word. Aw, pissed. Did I miss a confession? Yeah, you missed both confessions because it's the second one we're doing. We already did the long slow burn one. Now, there's 2 confessions. There's one towards the end, and then there's one towards the beginning of the route, step 4. And we did the one towards the end first. And I was like, should I do the one at the beginning?
So that's what I did. You missed the season finale. Well, the good news is that the season finale is recorded, so you can always go back and watch it. But hey, there's this one. This one's just pretty much the confession until we get back to what we've seen before, but it's still going. His words brought you such perfect comfort that you try to commit each syllable to memory, never wanting to forget a single word. Thank you. It means so much to me because I feel that way about you too. Your response buoyed Cove further, making him smile in full. It was beautiful. He was still grinning as he rubbed the back of his neck, his head tucked into his chest, and asked his next question. So, even the pause was bashful. I get to say I'm officially your boyfriend now, right? After all that, you better be. Cove beamed like the ray of sunshine he'd been for your life for so long. Give me another! Your lips gladly met his again. Cove happily returned the kiss. Neither of you could quite get enough of this newly opened avenue. Oh my god. A venue. I'm sorry, I'm just so flustered, you know? I just confessed to the love of my life for the second time. In this single playthrough. Or get this single section, pretty much. Let's be honest, I confessed to this guy plenty of times. And after all, you had a lot of time to catch up on. You relished the moment. After knowing each other for most of your lives, your relationship had altered forever, and you could tell Cove was as thrilled about it as you were. Cove broke the silence that had fallen between you by chuckling. He rubbed his arm as he sheepishly studied his shoes. I feel pretty bad for the driver. I mean, they were just doing their job, and ended up having to wait for us to work through our romantic holdup. Sorry, driver person. Couldn't be helped. We both waited long enough. Yeah, I'm actually feeling really embarrassed now that I'm calmer. We'll be fine. I'll tip them extra that. Oh, there we go. Extra tip. Hope I have D&D so I get to miss more. We'll have to catch up on VOD. Unfortunately, but I hope you have a good time in D&D though. That'll be fun. It'll be great. Either way, the vibes will always be here. Okay, tip them extra. Brandon Cove nodded. Good thinking. Thanks. But now it's time to go make an appearance with my moms. They'll be thrilled. And after your reunion with Cove, you have an exciting announcement for them too. My character's about to be traumatized. I can't wait. Ooh, that's always so fun. You know I'm going to have to tell them about this, right? Cove's cheeks warmed in a flush of color, but he smiled. I'd like to let them know. I want to tell everyone about it. You stared at him, astonished. He'd grown so much in the time you'd known him. There was no doubt in your mind that, had you done this years ago, Cove wouldn't have been nearly as self-possessed about this. You told him. If we'd gone together when we were younger, I don't think you'd have been this confident. Cove gave you a lopsided smile. You're probably right. Don't die, Jack. Yeah, don't die. Wow, I'm so grown up now. Guess it had happened sometime. You giggled happily, enchanted as ever by his sense of humor. Then the two of you began the walk to the door of your family home side by side. You started to pat your pockets instinctively, only to realize that you no longer carried a key to the house. Your eyes scanned the entryway, a little lost, only to spy the doorbell. I'm gonna speed run through this part, probably. The thought of having to ring it felt super weird. As you pressed the instantly placed button on the sidewall, you remember that no matter how this place will always be a home to you. It was Missouri live. Being back here was like putting in a new form, but you quit the store where it came from. It remained the same, but your circumstances changed. Cove shut all the beat awkwardly. Blah, 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 blah. Well, well, well. Mom twisted her head back and gave a shout down the hall. Lonnie, guess who's here? They're more, just skip.
That's fine.
There you go. Hug your moms. I wanted to surprise you. Okay, there we go. There we go. I was like, why do I have to speed run? I could just hit the skip button and then it'll stop for me. The conversation lulled. In the pause, you shared a silent look with Cove out of the corner of your eyes. You were silently trying to suss out how to approach the elephant in the room. The fact that you officially started dating literal minutes ago. Cove got the wordless memo based on how his posture tensed. He might have been confident outside, but there was still a struggle happening inside this condo, inside Cove himself. Mom raised an eyebrow at the growing awkwardness, but Ma smiled encouragingly. Is something up? Yeah. Ma covered her mouth in with a hand, but you could still make out her giggling. It caused Cove to groan. They're laughing at us already! We didn't even say anything! Cove's grumbles made Mom snort a chuckle herself. Well, are you gonna let us in on it or not? My answer, you can probably guess, but fine. We're a couple. That's so wonderful, sweeties. Ma clapped her hands together to punctuate the statement. Her excitement was clear, but there wasn't a hint of shock in her tone.
That made all too much sense once your mom interjected. Wow, Lonnie, you were right. Oh, you made a bet? Oh, you might have been surprised by your own recent change of feelings for Ko, but your mom must have seen through you long before now. But congratulations to you both. Ma, who hadn't stopped beaming this entire time, chimed back into the conversation. You're a perfect pair. I know you'll make each other so happy. Mom put a hand on Ma's shoulder, as if she was worried she might float away on a cloud with how high her spirits were. What she said, you're all grown up now, and I'm sure you're making the best choices for your own lives. Ko was able to smile with a sweet bashfulness. The uncomfortable stiffness of earlier had mostly worn off.
Of course.
Welcome to the family. Your boyfriend coughed out a jittering laugh over the statement, and his statue act returned. It really didn't surprise you how brief his relaxation lasted. Your parents snickered amongst each other. They had plenty of fun with that. Well, was he ever not a part of the family? That's true. Snickers turned into full-on laughter. True. The Holdens have been an extension of our little family since they got here. Exactly. Thanks? But as happy as you were, you hadn't forgotten you weren't the only one having an important romantic moment. You want to ask your moms about theirs too. So how's it been? Have you been good? Getting enough excitement and all that. Speaking of exciting things, your anniversary dinner. Is everything all set for that? Okay, yeah, they heard that. And I'm sure they'll be very excited to hear your news. Ooh. Yeah, let's go for it. Go pack back up. Excited once more. Okay, Cliff. Skip. Kira.
Hey.
I missed you, Cliff. You hugged him. Within seconds, you had your arms wrapped around his middle, and Cliff hugged you back just as tightly. There was a quiet sniffle. You breathed a sigh of relief, happy to be home. I missed you too. It never feels right around here if I'm not seeing you both running back and forth across this neighborhood. Okay, there we go.
My baby.
Give me the hug.
Thanks.
You look great, Kira. The attention abruptly shifted back to Ko, as he not at all casually cleared his throat. Ko made eye contact with you before speaking. You had an idea of where this was going. You wanted to know if it was alright to talk about your relationship now. You sneakily made an okay sound with your fingers in response. He mimicked the motion in kind before facing his parents once more. Everything okay, bud? Definitely. Ko's feet shuffled as he shifted his stance to stand at his full height. He then reached over and linked his arm around yours, visibly showing your new union. Dad, Mom, Dae is my partner. I'm in love with them. Really? Ko's like, I had no idea. It was clear by the tone that this was out of shock rather than excitement. Cliff raised his hands in a reassuring gesture after catching his reaction. That's great, no doubt about it. Just it's not what I expected out of the two of you. Kira's like, really? You didn't expect that at all? Them to get together? Cliff grinned crookedly, looking between Cove and then you. I had no idea something was there, but it's amazing. You've grown a lot, and I'm proud. Kira gave Cliff back a friendly pat. She then switched her focus from Cliff to you and Cove. My babies, congratulations! She beamed at you both while dramatically putting her hands over her heart. You've made this mom very happy. Today is a good day. She wiped out one of her eyes with a satisfied smile. Her reaction buoyed Cliff's excitement further. Group hug. He pulled back on the enthusiastic statement immediately by taking on an awkward caveat, if you want to. Yeah! Group hug! Threw your arms around him without hesitation. You lunged at Cliff and he stumbled back, not having counted on that, but he recovered, holding you back with one arm while extending the other out to bring in the others. Group hug it is. Kira and Cove came close enough for Cliff to loop them in. You reached towards them as well. The group of four squeezed together with grins across the board. You truly felt like you belonged here. The mood remained high until the hug eventually broke apart. Cove beamed warmly up down at his mother and father, the perfect picture of a happy child. You were so glad the two of you were able to speak to Cove's family about this, and that they were fully accepting of it. They were good people. You wanted to ask how things had been going for them too. No, I don't. No, I don't. I want to ask it all. Okay, I just want to see if there's like any other new stuff throughout this. So we'll just pretty much like speedrun through the rest of this. Pretty much. But yeah, that's also cute. Wait, no, go back. Join him. What the fuck? I'm just trying to make sure I'm like picking the same ones. Just see everybody's reaction to us being together at the beginning. Right now,
Rude.
will Liz get to know? Poked her cheek.
So?
Always have a big bossy big sister. We're equivalent to this junker. Oop, you pictured your mom's checking out mom's face from the rearview mirror and squinting at what you could see of mom's profile. There was not a hint that they had any intention of giving away what they'd found out earlier. You appreciate that they were leaving it up to you and Cove to announce. Hey, Liz. Yeah? So... Me and Cove got together today. Me and Cove. Huh. This is so weird. Not a bad way, just a weird way. Cove and Dae actually becoming a couple, and I thought that'd always be a joke. Well, guess what? It's been manifested to reality. She caught your eye and then turned her head to Cove. She seemed to find whatever it was she wanted to see and grinned. But congrats. I'm really happy for you two. Cove seems like he'll do a decent enough job with my baby sibling. I'll give my approval. Thanks. Cove blinked and then nodded with more confidence. You have nothing to worry about. We don't need your approval. Okay, I'm taking care of Cove as well. Uh-huh. So, who else have you told so far? Liz's eyes narrowed with suspicion. You suddenly felt very glad that you hadn't said anything about your relationship on any group chats with your friends. You held up your hand and started counting them off on your fingers. Mom, Ma, Cove's parents, you. Liz scoffed, displeased that all the grown-ups got to hear first. However, it wasn't long before she smirked once more. I still heard before Lee. At least that's something. I got a few laughs. Cove rolled his eyes. Lee was going to be thrilled when you finally had that chance to call her. You just knew that she was going to shriek. You kept your phone in your pocket. That would have to wait. For now, it was enough to enjoy being reunited with your big sister. Okay, skip. That's the egg vent. Like I said, thanks for handling this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you watched the man who is now your partner lying comfortably in his bed. The physical distance between the two of you in this situation felt different than it would have before. Oh, yeah. So it's pretty much just like making this moment now. See why these hotel beds are so narrow. If we'd had gotten that king bedroom, we couldn't be sharing right now. Cove sat up straight on his own mattress. Oh, sorry. Until earlier today, I was really not convinced you'd want to do something like that with me. I understand. Don't feel bad about it. I was only teasing. Thanks. A curious smile appeared on Cove's face, and it seemed as though he also had some joking in mind. If it wasn't so tall, we might have been able to make sharing happen still. But yeah, that's not going to work either. I guess it wasn't meant to be. You sighed dramatically and stretched your arms out across the minimal width of the hotel bed. Next time? Yeah, next time. That promise was comforting enough. Good night, Dae. And good night! No bed bugs. You know how I feel. Oh, the confession time now. Tell him about the deal. I'm sorry. Held him in your arms. I know he's crying for a different way, but oh yeah, we told him after we confessed our love to him too. So that's different. I love you, Dae. So much. My one, my only, my heart, my soul. He rubbed the palm of his hand over his heart, resting it on his collarbone. His awe-filled stare locked with yours. A kiss. Cove got the idea immediately when your gaze fell to his lips, and you're crashing into each other. Only one, it's you! Every emotion since you told him about the deal seemed to flare up to take one final blow during this kiss. Your fingers curled tightly into Cove's arms, and his hands firmly held you in place around the back. The kiss grew gentler, and you peppered more going up the side of his jaw. Cove closed his eyes, steadying his breath. You hoped with every kiss that he could feel just how much he meant to you. You both waited there, enjoying each other's company. When another minute passed, you felt a calmness settle in your chest. Okay, we haven't got together before you brought that up. Oops. Raising your shoulders, you ducked your head down. He was right, you realized with a grimace. Peeking up at him, your body relaxed. The corner of Cove's mouth tugged upwards, and he lightly shook his head. Really, it's fine. Instantly, your skin felt like it was prickling and hot. Thoughts about dropping to one knee spun rapidly around in your mind. What the fuck? Are there any other confessions you want to make while we're doing this? Oh! So now it's like, any other confessions? Yeah, let's get married. You notice your shocked reaction. Up. A slap. Cove let out a small yelp. he met his eyes with an impish grin, and he shook his head. Careful. His shyness melted away as he put himself inches from you. Might have to do something to return the favor. He raised your hands in a playful surrender. His mouth bent into a pleased smile. Damn. Ass slapping. Got him feeling some type of way. Oh, now it's time to tell Lee. Do we get the opportunity?
Yes.
Oh shit, this is like talking about marriage now. Listen, when you have the chance, you have to smack. I mean, no, I know, right? I mean, it's just right there. Easy smacking distance, you know, just gotta go wham. It's just, and listen, we're together now, so it's okay. As long as he's okay with it, it's okay. Okay, we got married last time, so let's go ahead and be like, we're fine with this now. We got the funny reactions from everybody. This wasn't the first time someone had poked at the topic of marriage, and this wasn't the first time you thought about it, but you had come to a new conclusion. It was better just being the way you already were. Yukako was shyly rubbing at the slight scar that was still visible on his arm.
There.
Okay. You never drive anyway.
Hey, buddies.
Turkey.
So great.
It's been forever.
It's nice.
Everything is perfect. Oh, okay, here we go. Now it's time to reveal it to our friends. The corner of your mouth curled while you took in the warm welcomes all around. It was kind of funny how your group of 4 friends evolved into 2 couples. But they didn't know. They have no idea. You grew wide because Terry Maris still didn't know about that part yet. Now felt like the perfect time to share the good news. Speaking of how things are... Surprise! I asked Cove out. Chuckling, Cove ran a hand through his hair. The pink in his cheeks was deepening to Terry's face. He's like, whoa! The most shocked I've ever seen him. You're not gonna let me live it down and that you asked first. That's right. I did ask first. Huh? Her jaw hung in shock, but soon enough, Merida's demeanor morphed into a bubbling excitement. Terry, on the other hand, was still confused. They're like, plot twist. Congratulations! You're dating? That sounds preposterous. Well, it would have seemed preposterous back when we were in high school, but I was kind of getting that vibe lately. Marina ended that thought with a sweet giggle. Terry shook his head, still trying to wrap his mind around the news. I didn't see it, but whatever. That's cool stuff. Boyfriends for everyone. Terry broke out into applause over your news, adding a whistle. Marina immediately joined in. Bravo! The way Cove's shoulders rolled forward and his head tilted lower, you knew that he was deeply embarrassed. Still, the corner of his mouth hooked into a bent smile. Thank you. You took a big bow, and Terry clapped again. It was a relief that you were able to share this with them. Thank you, thank you. Okay, skip. Derek! We gotta tell Derek now. Also, Derek. Cove piped up, and the pink in his cheeks deepened to scarlet. He rubbed at his arm, trying to put his thoughts together. What's up, dude? There was something that I wanted to say that you're here. Dae and I started dating. It happened yesterday, actually. Stunned, Derek's eyebrows arched up, but he recovered quickly. The corners of his mouth curled, and he scratched the side of his face. Oh no, that makes me the 5th wheel. No. Derek, you are part of my and Cove's tricycle. And Terry and Miranda are just a bike. So no, you're a part of us. You're with us, okay? In this universe, we're all together. No, Derek, you're my boyfriend. Polly's rise. Yeah. Chuckling, Miranda held her face in her hands, but that did nothing to hide her shaking shoulders. Terry lightly bumped his shoulder into hers. No, it's totally fine. You won't even notice. No, it is not fine. Someone has to get this man a boyfriend or whatever. Have triple dates. He jokingly looked left to right, but the 5 of you were still the only ones in the parking lot. Derek shrugged, with a smirk before turning his attention back to you and Cove. It's us! We're the boyfriends. I'm happy for you. Honestly, you're meant for each other. Anyone with eyes can see it. That means a lot. Oh my god, you're such a homie. No, Terry, he has a boyfriend. Me! Tiger's boyfriend. Yeah, thank you. And you meant it completely. Hearing that from Derek after all these years knowing him, this acceptance meant a lot to you. Derek bashfully looked away from the gratitude given. His cheeks became flushed, and he spoke out of the corner of his mouth. There's nothing to thank me for. You're my friends. I'm always rooting for you both. Humming, Derek elbowed Cove. Okay.
Come on. Serious?
Skip. I love how much of an idiot you are. Perfect.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You alright with that?
I'm getting a show. Took off my shirt.
I guess.
I only should demand a Derek plushie. Honestly, they made a Cove plushie. Why not a Derek plushie? I'm so, I'm kind of disappointed. I missed out on getting the Cove plushie. That's like one of my biggest regrets. Because I'm sitting here like, man, I wish I had that Cove plushie. Maybe it's still available if I check. You did? I know, I missed out on it. Maybe if I look on the website. I didn't. Evil laugh. How dare you? But I was kind of, I did not have the funds at that time. Maybe if I look now, is it still available if I look? Ended May. No, I was afraid of that. I figured it wasn't like a normal shop where the things were just available. They just took like, in the orders. I'll share with you. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you. I get it for half of the week and you get it for the other half of the week. It's like we're sharing custody. Our little plushie.
Wow.
He's like, I figured, but... Oh well. Maybe one day he'll come back. You thought it was both unusual and beautiful that you simply coexist with no relationship outside of living on the same street. He'd become someone you'd chosen to share your life with. Chance might have brought you together, but you made the decision to return to him all on your own. Divorce custody for a husband who knew that's what a relationship would turn into, pretty much.
Me too.
Our little husband, Cove, holding your boyfriend. Just seeing him brought a smile to your face. I love you. Cove turned to you, his eyes wide and adoring, and he bit his lip as he smiled shyly. You could tell that your words had touched him. Words had touched him. I feel the same way. Exactly.
I love you.
Kiss. Catching him by the hand, you stopped Cove in his tracks and pulled him close. Your heart somersaulted as your lips met. At this moment, with the quiet seaside town at rest, it felt like it was just the two of you in the world. Cove returned the kiss, gently cradling your head with his hand until you broke apart. You were full of joy. All of the concerns and the day-to-day stresses of normal life were squeezed out by it. All you could think in that moment was how your life was wonderful. Every second and every day needed to end sometime, and that time had nearly come for tonight. You had to get at least some rest and bring it all to a close. Skip. It'll be okay. The pets will be fine. Cole waking me up. I closing my eyes. Anything you like to see me in today? He still won't say he wants to see me in nothing. Coward. Excuse me. What happened? Oh, wait. Shit. Oh, okay, I guess it just, like, skips because,
What do you think?
I did play, like, through this, like, multiple times, so it's probably, like, the stuff from, like, those previous playthroughs when I played it offline that I was going through. Okay, no clue. I haven't checked in with him yet. You gotta be the first stop.
Hello.
Alright, hey, Ma, guess who's currently across the street in a kitchen full of food and an invitation to share said food? You said you waited a beat. It's me! I'm at the Hollands and they want to invite you and everyone over to eat with us. What do you say? That sounds delightful. Pamela and I can do that. Liz and Lee should be able to make it too. Would that be fine? Cliff took a step forward and spoke loudly so that his voice would be picked up. It definitely would be. The more the merrier.
Marvelous.
We may have gone together for dinner last night, but there's no law that we can't do it again for breakfast today. Enjoy the company while you can is what I think. Ma giggled, and you could hear some rustling over the line. Thank you. I'll let them know and we'll be right over.
Sounds good.
Okay. Just tell me what we're making. No way, you're the guest. Kira and I have got this. It's like, the TV's like breaking up. It's like jumping forward and all that stuff. It's like, reading through like some dialogues, hit skip. It skips through the timeline. It goes back to reading dialogue. She grinned. There's something playful in the twist of her lips. I couldn't have said it better myself, Cliff. I've been in your spot before. There's no choice but to accept it. Cove sighed, but from the sparkle in his eyes, you could see that he was entertained. Fine. Just hang out over here, I guess. Good.
Oh,
Are we
Ooh.
interrupting?
You're joining a breakfast party. My parents, sister, and cousin are coming over. We actually thought that you were them when you knocked. Yeah, but my dad always makes a ton of food anyway, so it's no problem for you guys to join. Okay, skip.
okay.
Good.
Agreed.
That's fantastic.
I want to see the baby.
Fun.
I would like to see the baby. And there he is. That's my darling angel. You met Cove's eyes with the fondest smile, and you saw the second his breath caught. His mouth twitched until he let himself accept the compliment. He held himself even taller, pleased and uplifted by your comment. You reached out, placing a hand on his arm and giving him a gentle squeeze, feeling as grateful as always to be with him. Thanks, Dae. No problem. You'll always be my precious baby. I'll see you again. And soon. We put our hands on our hips. Ren and Terry give you similar confident looks.
Yeah.
Exactly, there's gotta be a free weekend somewhere. I know it won't be everyone, but some are better than none. A calming wave of tingles washed over you after seeing their reactions. You knew that it wouldn't have to be too long before someone made the trek out for a short visit.
That's right.
Okay, and in the firefly competition, what did you tell about my mommy? Oh, tell me about your mommy. We have to go.
About it.
It's my dream come true. Mwah. Maybe.
Come on.
Shame on me. Definitely.
All right.
Pick me up.
Wow. I'm so glad. I love you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so there wasn't like too much of a difference there. But you know, there's some it's pretty much like we're together, that's pretty much all that matters, you know? I pretty much just wanted to see like us confessing. Not only did I want to see like confessing to Cove, us confessing to Cove instead of him confessing to us, but I wanted to see like the other family's reactions. But I swear, telling everybody we were getting married was after dating for only a day was the best thing. Engaged? What do you mean you're engaged? How long have you been dating for? A day. Is that not enough? But yeah, that was very sad. Engaged. Since when? Will never not be iconic. Never. Truly. Like, I wanted it to be teehee funny, and that was teehee funny. Nin was right. I'm glad Nin said something, because if he didn't, I probably wouldn't have gone through with it, because I'd be like, oh, I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I want to go through with it. And Nin was like, it'd be funny. It's like, okay, if it's funny, then I'm going to do it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Indeed. Thank you, buds, for joining me today. I hope y'all had a good-ass time, because I always do. This will probably most likely not be the last time we play Our Life, but I probably will be taking a break from it since we did this one round. Oh my gosh, y'all got so spoiled the first time I played this on stream, because I played through Cove's route, Derek's route, and Baxter's route back to back to back. And then what? I took like a 6-month break probably. So maybe we'll be back in 6 months. Maybe we'll be back in summer.
Best series ever, we stan.
We do stand, indeed. But yeah, I'd never mind coming back to this series. You know, maybe in the next time we play, we'll play through like Derek's route, or like at least his epilogue, and like do like the one where we confess to him first. Because when I played it on stream for Derek's route, I did not confess to him. He confessed to us at the end, pretty much, and that was very satisfying. But we haven't done the one where we confessed to him first, so you know that could work. But that won't probably be for a long while. But you know, that's okay. We'll just let it sit and simmer. And look back on this with smiles. Yes, yes indeed. Well, yeah. Like I said, that's it for Our Life. But you know what? There are plenty of other visual novels out there. There has been a visual novel I've been wanting to play on here for a hot minute. It's not similar to Our Life. It's kind of like a little bit different though. And I've always been interested in it. So I'm thinking about playing it this month at some time. But we shall see. We shall see. This isn't the last of visual novels. I do want to play more visual novels. It's just that whole like finding one that I want to get into. Do it. I shall. I shall. But yeah, let's see what everybody is up to right now. Ooh, okay. Let's see here. What everybody is doing. Oh, I'm yawning. I'm sleepy. It's always hard, like, trying to, like, pick people to, like, raid into, because, like, there's so, like, many people that's, like, currently streaming, and it's like, oh, I could raid this person, or I could raid this person, but I don't know. I can't, you know what? We'll do this one. Let's go raid into our bud, Equo. She is currently doing some art right now. I'm stuck in an ad, so I can't see what she's doing. So I'm gonna wait until that ad's done. But we're gonna raid her regardless, of course. Echo is a best bud here on the Twitch here. Beyonce, get out of the way. I'm trying to see what Echo is doing. Oh my god, 30 more seconds? That's way too long. Okay, start the raid. Oh shit, how do I... Can I snooze it on here? Oh, damn. I want to snooze! Snooze! There we go. I used unraid. What the fuck? Oh my god. I'm screaming, crying. I just wanted to snooze the damn ad. Oh my god. Okay. Try again. Okay, Echo. I spelled her name wrong. Oh my god. Please. Ads are so troublesome these days. I know. There we go. Let's try that. Ooh, I can see from like the preview. It looks like she's like drawing out a little scene here. Looks very exciting. Screaming, crying, throwing up. Exactly. Yeah, it looks very interesting. So yeah, once again, we are rating out to Echo. She is doing some art. Looks like she's doing like a sort of scene here. It's looking very cute so far. And yeah, it's gonna be great. So yeah, I will not be streaming tomorrow, and I probably won't be streaming over the weekend. As I've mentioned on the Discord, I'm gonna be like taking it easy for the first half of this month until the later half, before I start getting into like more frequent streams. So I'm not sure if I'll see you buds on Monday or Tuesday, but I'll be uploading the schedule on the Discord on Saturday. Saturday night, pretty much. So if you're not a part of that and you want to see it, feel free to join. If you go follow me on Twitter as well, you'll get the schedule on Sunday. And also there's the VOD channel, and also here is the raid message. You can use that or the raid emote, whichever you'd like to see. But yeah. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to entail for next week. I do know that obviously we'll have my time at Sandrock. And probably an art stream as well. But I was talking to my friend, Keknu, and we might play some Helldivers next week as a little funsies, but we'll see. Okay, I'm getting raptured. I'll see you buds next week. Have a good weekend. Stay feral.